Speaking of which, have you seen Ready Player One yet, Matt?
No, I love the book, but the film...
This is what I don't get, because I don't know much about Ready Player One. I've seen one trailer, and it seems to me that it's meant to be, like, all I know is that it's a VR thing, and it's like Steven Spielberg, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, when I watched the trailer, it was like, it's just filled with references, like absolutely covered in references.
Yeah,
and I thought, well, if this is it really? But like, what does the book do? What's the main character's name in that?
I'm drawing a blank, even though I've read it.
Says Brian, but in the book, does it say, Brian walks into a bar, in the corner was Chun-Li?
Pretty much.
How does it get all the references?
No, it's
not,
pretty much like
bad.
that. Like, it'll be like, he walked into a bar and he saw another user who was wearing a Chun-Li costume from the 1996 re-release of Street Fighter 2. I'm not joking, that's exactly what it says.
How is that good?
It's not.
I like the story.
It's enjoyable to read through but it's really badly written. Like, it's a really badly written book, but it's still enjoyable
Brian
to go
gets
through.
into a cab. The cab driver is Sonic. Like, what is it's just weird. Right, should we start the show? Yeah. Hello, and welcome to the Computer Game Show. My name's David Turner. I'm here with Matt Murray.
Hello there.
James Farley.
Hello.
And John Denton.
You know what it is.
Well, we do know what it is. It's a podcast that you can listen to, or if you're in America, you can listen to us on Dash Radio. But enough of that. Let's go on to feedback. What did people think of last week's show, Matt?
They said it was the worst episode they've ever heard.
Right, that's not good. You need to lie. You need to lie a bit.
They said it's the best episode they've ever heard.
Good, good.
On last week's show, we also discussed Splatoon coming out on the Wii U. Was it a budget title? Was it full price release? Darren Gargett tweeted in, Splatoon was a budget title before it came out, and then once it started selling, it went up in price.
I thought it was a budget title when it came out. Now, James, I don't know. I was listening back and I thought, why didn't I stand up for myself there? Because I was pretty sure of it. But at the same time, James got so aggressive. It was never a budget title. No, it wasn't. Like, that's what you were like. It wasn't what you said, it was how you said it.
Well, I'd like to make a full and frank apology for this, because obviously I was wrong, it appears.
To who?
To you, and to the listeners.
Right.
And to Dash Radio.
No, just the listeners.
God. Okay, fine. You got quite a few messages about that, didn't you, James?
I did, yeah. I got a few messages about that, and also some more FIFA ones, because apparently it was on sale again, so that was nice.
Keep them coming. Keep them coming.
Go on.
Always good to hear about a bargain, so keep them coming. Ballstick tweeted in, feedback,
okay.
Ask Matt to slow down so we can have some idea of what he's saying. Now, I feel like I've slowed my speech down quite a lot, because, if I've had a few beers, or if I go back home, I'm suddenly talking at a billion miles an hour. I think I'm slow enough, but I'll try and slow down.
I mean, maybe I'm just used to it. Like, I think I got used to it.
Yeah.
It's like listening at double speed.
I mean, I do basically speak at a billion miles an hour usually, but I'll try and slow it down. Lee Scoville. Now, Lee and a few others tweeted about our discussion of Inside last week.
Mate, you're speaking too slowly.
Yeah, can you speed it up, please, mate?
Yeah, really. I mean, there's only one person that asked you that. You can't change your whole life just because one guy called Ballstick asked you to change it.
It's a good point. It's
actually ballistic. I've just read it. How did you read that as Ballstick?
Slow your reading down. Get your speech back up. Go on.
Anyway, so last week we had a discussion about Inside, most notably the special edition that's coming out on im8bit.com with the collaboration they're doing with Real Doll. Here comes some of the feedback from Lee Scoville. Did we just have another night in the woods situation? Perhaps I'm mistaken, but Matt's refusal to acknowledge David's question about the thing at the end of Inside is made up of... my refusal to not acknowledge what it's made up of had Lee's alarm bells ringing. So we have to ask, did Matt finish Inside?
Well, I mean, the fact that you're stuttering all over the place there makes you feel like you've just been collared. Like,
as soon as I saw this, I was onto this, because I thought, he's probably, because of what had happened before. I did check, like, your achievements, Matt, to see where he was. And, I mean, what's disappointing is that Inside doesn't give you an achievement for finishing it, so it's kind of, the result is inconclusive. Did you watch a YouTube video of that?
No, I finished. We had a spoiler cast. I talked full and frankly about it.
Yeah, but exactly. But you could have seen that on YouTube, without having to.
I didn't, but in this case, I finished the game.
Okay, all right, jury's out. Yeah, I mean, do I just drop what the point I was trying to make last week?
Basically, we should do like a spoiler bot bit, because I had my views of the ending, then you told me, you explained more after the episode, and suddenly I felt quite bad.
Spoiler bot doesn't work, though, anymore, does it?
What?
Dash Radio.
Dash Radio what?
Well, how does spoiler bot work then? Just... What is he going to say? Turn your volume down a bit.
Turn your radios
in your Lambo.
Now. Yeah, please leave the room if you do not want to know the result of Inside.
Okay, all right. Spoiler bot.
What's happening?
Just tell him how far to fast forward.
Yeah, so if you don't want to listen to what happens at the end of Inside, fast forward 1 minute and 15 seconds. Or if you're listening on Dash Radio, switch over to Snoop Doggy Dogg for a bit.
I mean, really, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's an old game.
The thing that we think is in that box is made up of, at the very least, one dead child. And you're going, oh, yeah, I'll try and fuck it. Fine. Yeah, go on, send me one.
Yeah, I sort of forgot.
Steady on.
I forgot that bit. So when I was saying that last week, I thought, it's just made of, human body parts. I didn't really sort of take into account a child may or may not be in there. I just thought
but even then, body parts anyway. What's that about, Matt?
A ball of dead people.
Anyway, whatever.
What was that?
Anyway,
what was that?
Well, I mean, I'm interested in new experiences. But the fact you said it mentioned had children, I just thought
Matt, I wouldn't go down this path if I were you.
I went down this path last week. Yeah.
I'm interested in new experiences.
Lock the fucker up. Dead kids in a ball.
Lock him up. Lock him up.
Look, I mean, after you explained it, I was like, oh yeah, that is bad. I can't really tell you that, but
I can't really say that. You can't even think it, Matt. All right, come on.
Well, I had already said it. So anyway,
next,
it's fine. There was loads more feedback. Favourite, which is Andy Hamilton saying, "I've called the police on Matt." Adam Reynolds, hope you don't mind, computer game show, but your dulcet tones have just soothed me for the duration of my vasectomy. I mean, that's quite a listen. I mean, I would assume some relaxing music or maybe just sleep, but imagine having I'm
quite proud of that.
Guys arguing while this guy's having his tubes cut.
Well, to be fair, me and James arguing sometimes feels like the same experience, like with just you getting your tubes cut. It's just awful, grating. Well, I understand that. We're aware of that. We're working on it. In my mind, I'm picturing it playing aloud while the surgery's happening, and the surgeons again so pissed off with James's inane arguments and poor argumentative skills. Even they're like,
"Hey, Matt, what's that about? Why are you slagging me off?"
The guy doing the operation is definitely going, there's no way he's a doctor. I mean, technically he's not anyway. This is the surgeon saying it, not me. The surgeon's going, James is we don't see him as a doctor. He's just called himself a doctor because he knows what happened in China in 1933 or whatever. And
I think it's 1894.
It's offensive to my profession. That's what they're saying.
I mean, basically, the surgeon was so pissed off that Adam actually only went in for tonsils removal. And he's like, fuck this. I mean, the doctor was livid.
I'm going to lob his... Yeah, okay, right, cool.
Andy Palmer. Neo, John obviously played it last week, has some thoughts. Bosses are on the whole shite and the locals are very repetitive. And locals? Okay. But what, I guess maybe locations. But what keeps fans going back is the beauty of the combat and the loot. Take away the shit and it's a very good min-max Diablo-esque loot fest. Does that mean,
I read this and this is, well, no, I actually read this in the week and that was the final nail in the coffin, for me playing it. I deleted it after reading this. Bosses are shite and the locales are very repetitive. Well, there you go. So, yeah.
You didn't make it to the end of the tweet. Well, I agree with that bit. I'll assume I'll agree with the rest of it.
I'll read the rest after deleting this game.
Yeah, but I already said that I like the combat.
No, I know. I'm not taking the piss out of you, so I can't down.
Alex79UK. Regarding doppelgangers, which we discussed on last week's show, I always thought John looked like a tougher, meaner Will Young.
Oh.
Yeah.
No,
really? Probably. You got no problem with that?
Why would I have a problem with it?
He's a good looking guy, isn't he?
He's just a guy with a similar face. I mean, I don't really...
He's a bit odd looking. He's not got a similar face, has he?
I don't know.
I wouldn't say he's odd looking. What's up with that?
I would take that as an insult.
Would you?
Yeah, I just think he looks weird, doesn't he? He's got the underbite. I'm probably thinking of a different person, aren't I?
You're thinking about
Ed Sheeran.
Yeah.
No,
You're thinking about Dr. Dre. No, it's he's a good-looking guy. So congratulations, John. Indiana 747.
What was that?
I don't know.
I think the events on Sunday night of just what has happened to Matt.
It's been
Do you think maybe
a very, very
Matt
bad day.
is now starting to realise how close Rez is, and he's got to go face to face with John, and now he's going to just he's putting the brakes on a little bit.
John
you know
is
what
the
I mean?
least of my worries at Rez, frankly.
It's like when you're coming up to your year review at work, and you're about 2 months away, and you get your yearly appraisal, and you're just like, actually, maybe I'll just start putting a little bit more effort in for a couple of months.
Start getting in early to work. Okay, John. If it makes it any better, I've always loved judo. So, next bit of feedback. Indiana 747. Just to the point in Computer Game Show where John Denton says Matt had won a solo game of PUBG. Sorry, Matt, but I need hard evidence of this questionable claim. I happily posted a picture of me wearing winning a chicken dinner. And
also, that's a slight against me because I'm the one that said it. That's not a slight against Matt.
I mean, it was definitely against me. I mean, he just assumed I had lied to you.
Yeah, but fair enough. Yeah. Well, I wouldn't believe that shit without evidence.
Anyway, the Ev was there. Post on Twitter. I'm sorry, Indiana, for Don for disappointing you and everyone else on Twitter.
I would like to highlight, though,
go on,
that Matt did get this solo Chuck D when it was completely broken, and it was literally just a flip of the coin. I mean, now that it's a little bit more fixed and people can aim on that fucking thing, he's not. I mean, you've not had a chicken dinner for a while.
Are we saying that Chuck D? Are we only counting Chucky D's on certain firmware updates?
No, I'm not taking it away from you. I'm just saying.
Like you sort of were.
I think that's out of order, Dave. I've got to be honest. I think that's out of order.
Oh,
I'm claiming
all
my chickens.
Allowed to accept?
Yeah. I mean,
dinners.
Listen, I'm no fan of Matt, but I'll stand up for what's right in this world.
After we
haven't got none of us have got solo chick dins apart from we've got to be real about that. Yeah. Regardless of patch.
But right, now what I'm saying is that there's got to be some sort of reason this has happened, John, because I mean he walks out in the middle of the fucking blue circle all the time. You can't. There must be a reason for it.
It's fucking infuriating, but what can you do?
All right, okay.
You might
I'll tell you how I did it, because I got one as those drops, and I basically got like a bush and a incredible sniper rifle, and I got one kill.
Okay, next feedback.
Bush. Hold on, are you playing Fortnite?
No, the ghillie suit, sorry.
A bush. Fucking
See,
state of you.
A bush. It was a human bush.
Are you telling me you still believe it now, John?
Well, Come I believe it, but he's just really let everyone down there.
I activated my Titan, and
and I rotated the block. No,
okay, we're done with that.
Stroke.
Go on.
Okay, Tom Dougherty. Glad Matt addressed Dave's frankly bizarre pronunciation of the word Pokemon. Dave, sit down, mate. That was it. Actually, just goes on. Some other people mentioned the Pokemon thing.
Did they?
Yeah,
I didn't see anything about that. What'd they say?
I think they're saying in the emails, actually, John. Basically, someone's asking about how we should pronounce Yakuza, and someone else said,
Yakuza. Yeah.
Why are you getting in on my emails, Matt?
Because Dave asked if we had more feedback about the thing I just referred to, John.
No, because that's the Pokemon. That's different.
It is different. I watched a video on how you're supposed to pronounce it, actually, because I was I wondered how wrong I was or whatever. And apparently we're both getting it wrong.
What should it be?
Because it's Pokemon. Pokemon?
Oh, jeez. Well, come on, clean was doing that.
Because of the accent over the E or something.
The accent on the E would make the emphasis on the E. So it would be Pokemon.
But
just
listen to the way that Reggie pronounces it. That's correct. Yeah. That's what you got to do.
Look, why are you always following Reggie? Like, he's not God. He makes mistakes as well.
The song of the cartoon, it's Pokemon.
Yeah. But ultimately, we come to the conclusion that it didn't matter.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely doesn't matter.
Why are we talking about it again?
It's made up word.
That is it for feedback. I mean, obviously there were plenty of other tweets of other discussion points, shall we say, during the week, but no doubt we'll talk about those later in the show. Thank you ever so much for feedback, everyone. If anyone wants to leave us feedback or comment or whatever, it's at ComputerGamePod on Twitter, or you can email thecomputergameshow@gmail.com.
Well, breaking news. Who's the man on the scene? It's James Farley. What's going on in video game world, James?
I hate this build-up. It's terrible, because this week's not been a great week again.
Oh, really?
There's been a couple of things.
I'd love it if they started the 10 o'clock news like that.
Yeah.
It's not
Imagine how long.
Listen, right? I was talking to Matt about this.
Sorry, imagine how long a journalist would last if they're like, it's just not been a lot of news.
Yeah, but it's different, isn't it? Because they just have to report the news. I can't do that because I have to look through this news and I have to think, okay, what here is going to spark a conversation? I can't just say this game's coming out or whatever. It doesn't work like that. I have to think, what's good here.
You can't report the news because you don't report the news. You read the headline and go, what do you think about that?
Yeah,
that's literally what you do. No, you don't go into the article or the stats. That's not true at all.
I go through it. I have to summarise the article. I have to go through the whole thing. It takes a bit of time. It's every Monday lunchtime I have to do this. It does take a bit of time.
Hurry up because people are already tuning off.
All right, well, anyway,
Good evening, I'm Hugh Edwards. This is the news at 10. It has not much has happened, so...
We've already done that, Matt. Can we...
stop nicking my fucking jokes.
Why are you recycling them already?
It's broken. It's broken, Matt.
I think there's some lag.
It's jolting. Go on next.
Okay, so anyway, one of the big things from last week was the Switch Nindies showcase that happened. And so with this, does anyone have any interest in this at all?
I mean, I didn't watch a single thing, but I did see a few of the trailers floating to the surface. There was a pool game or something, pool world or something.
It's Pool Panic. It's like a kind of... they're billing it as being the world's least realistic pool simulator. So you use a cue ball to complete challenges and stuff like that. It looked quite good. But what was quite interesting with this though is they had quite a lot of timed exclusives and stuff, which they've not really gone in for that before, Nintendo, with this stuff. But they've seem to have nailed down quite a lot of stuff as being this is coming to Switch first.
It's the indie platform at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, it's always been PC, and there'll always be a lot of indie games on PC or whatever, but it seems like a lot of indie developers want their games on the Nintendo Switch. I don't know how well they're doing on that system, but I seem pretty well because the people are flooding to it.
This was like Vita 2, doesn't it?
Yeah, and that's great. It's great that it's on this system, so I totally get why they would be promoting this more and pushing it, and we said when the Switch was announced that it would be an ideal indie sort of platform. So that's why it's all over the place, and fair play to them. How long was the direct?
It was about 10 minutes or so, and there was quite a bit longer than that maybe. There was a lot of content though. I mean, do you want me to go through some of what they have? We won't know anything about them. Well, no, because some of these you will know. There's Mark of the Ninja is getting a remastered version. Do you remember that?
Okay,
that was
I didn't play it, but I raved about it. So.
Very good game.
Yeah.
There's also Lumin's remastered is coming, so that's another reason.
Lumines, yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah, Lumins apparently.
Lumines. I can never remember what it is.
500.
Well, how did Reggie pronounce it, James?
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. Then also, there was one game that did interest me, which was called Garage, which was it was like a top-down shooter.
It's where you podcast, isn't it?
But it looked quite a lot like Hotline Miami to me. It looked pretty good, and also stuff like Reigns as well. You remember that mobile game where it was?
Oh shit! Is that coming to Switch?
It is, and there's also going to be a co-op mode. I don't know how that'll work, but also a whole bunch. I mean, there was quite a lot of sort of adventure side scrollers as well that they were showing off. Which a lot of them they look very sort of similar to Celeste. There was a lot of sort of speed running and stuff like that. But there was quite a lot of good stuff that they showed off.
It's probably not fair to say, right? But when it comes to indie gaming, expect a lot of shit. There's always a lot of shit. I heard people saying, there's far too many indie games coming to the eShop or what, and I'm just no, there's going to be a lot of crap that comes out for it, right? But you got to remember that all of a sudden there'll be one game that is holy shit, this is insanely good, and then everyone will jump on that. I mean, you look at as you say, Celeste, as you guys have been raving about it. I really enjoyed Golf Story last year. If there's 3 or 4 indie games a year that comes out on it and it's brilliant, then it's worth it just to have all that flood of stuff that you're not so interested in.
I mean, the only disadvantage with it is the fact that they are going to have to figure out the sort of discoverability for this, because things do rise to the top that are good, but then also when there's so much content, it does start to get a bit more difficult, to sort of find.
But only in your if you're browsing. But when was the last time you just browsed the eShop with an intention to buy?
I do that sometimes. I sometimes have a look and see what's new or what's on sale and stuff, to see if there's anything.
But have you ever bought games that way?
Once or twice. I mean, that's how I got Detention. Was through that. Was just through browsing.
It wasn't through.
I think Nintendo today said that they're going to fix the eShop, haven't they?
They've said what?
Saw a comment about that. About even if they understand that it's not great for discoverability and they're going to fix it in some way.
Because this is the problem.
If only they'd have done that in update 5, Matt. Oh, it was the big one. It was the big number, and they didn't do it. Go on, James. What were you saying?
Yeah, I mean, this is the problem that Steam has had as well, isn't it? It's like totally awash with
and
just
the App
stuff.
Store.
Yeah, exactly, and it becomes difficult to like find good stuff. And one of the things that's been great about the Switch over the last year was the fact that there were things like Golf Story, that sort of appeared and people like jumped on. It's just, I don't know. I mean,
trust me. This stuff, if it's genuinely incredible, it will float to the top, and you will hear about it. And all you got to do is type the title into the eShop and find it. It's not. I don't see it as that much of a problem.
But either way,
wouldn't it be nice if it is better?
Well, I mean, it's just how do you make it better?
Well, I don't know, but a way.
Fucking hell, guys! Come on.
It's a discussion, John. It's a video game.
It's not
podcast.
a discussion. I don't know. Everybody said I don't know. Nobody knows.
Exactly. My point exactly, John. My point exactly. Next story.
Okay, so Sea of Thieves came out this week, last week, and there's been some stuff related to this. So, first of all, I mean, I've got two things here. So, first of all, Rare addressed the launch issues that there were with like a developer video. So, I mean, this was quite interesting because this is kind of like in contrast to what happened with No Man's Sky, where like there were problems with that, but then nothing was said for a long time. So it seems Rare have taken like a different approach with this of trying to get out and sort of face it straight away, sort of head on. So the big problem was in the first 48 hours after launch, people were having a lot of problems connecting to servers. I mean, we experienced this, didn't we, David?
Yeah, I mean, launch night, you just couldn't get on. They stopped people, like new players joining completely.
Yeah, so what they did was they blocked new players from joining, and it's kind of stopped this, but then, people that were playing could still, like, continue. There was also the other problems with delays for, like, getting in-game currency and rewards and stuff like that. And they said in the video this is because they had 3 to 4 times more players than expected. And at one point, they had, like, 5,000 users per minute, which is...
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
Which is quite a lot. And they said, they are obviously working to resolve it, and the rewards will eventually appear. And I mean, the video that they put out, I mean, it addressed all the sort of the technical, like the server problems they were having, but not really some of the other comments that people have been having about the game.
Well, the biggest problem with the video, I thought, and is, it's not really fair on them, because I think what they did was right, and, they were frank and open and honest about it. But I'm into gaming, and I got about 10, I mean, I watched the full thing, but I got about 5 minutes in and just thought, oh my God, this is just like fucking boring. So out of the millions and millions of people that have been playing that game, how many people are going to see that video? And how many people are going to try and launch it on launch day and just go, oh, it's fucking broken, and ask for their money back? I don't know. The one thing that's been going around in my head about this is, do you think we should be expecting better?
Yes.
Because my natural reaction is to go, that how the hell could they ever plan for this? Like, it must be so complicated. And in fact, the fact that they're fixing it, I find incredibly impressive. They're doing it quite quickly and they're getting it running. But should we be expecting better from day one launches?
I think if you compare it to other day one launches, like stuff like when Destiny came out, was that broken?
No, Destiny wasn't broken, was it, John, when it first launched?
The first one, I can't remember. I think it had some issues. I'm pretty sure it had some issues early doors, yeah. Yeah,
nothing this bad, but the amount of new titles we've seen be launched and they're totally fucked on day one, especially like online only games.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not a surprise.
Like, Battlefield 4 was a joke for weeks or months, even, wasn't it?
I mean,
so was Rainbow Six Siege. That was a total mess for the first month or two.
See, I'd agree that we shouldn't have really high expectations for things to work perfectly when they launch, but I mean, this was on another scale, really. Do you know what I mean? In terms of it not working, it was worse, it seemed to me, than other games. And also, given the amount of push that Microsoft have given this as well, I mean, it's
Well, I'm not defending them. I mean, like, it's not great to have a broken game at launch. A part of me is thinking, yeah, we should expect better. This game should work. Like, you're asking for £50-60 for this game. You know, you should expect it to work from day one.
and also they had all those betas as well. You know, where they did all
but
this.
I mean, as they said themselves, the betas they can't prepare them for the amount of load that they're going to take on when the game finally launches. There's no preparation for that. There's no getting prepared for it. But it's a strange one really, because a part of me thinks, yeah, no, they fucked up and that's bad because it's a product that they've launched and they're expecting people to pay for. But part of me kind of thinks, well, how the hell did they even resolve that problem? It's, you can't plan for that stuff. So how much leeway do you give these companies? What do you think, John? Because you've seen this like loads of times with games like.
When it happened with Sea of Thieves, I was just like, it's just one of those, it's just one of those, and it's all about how quickly they address it, how they address it, and what happens. And the next night the thing was working, and then the Saturday morning the game was down and people complaining. And it's just like, I think if you've got enough experience, you just know that games. I mean, it's bad. Like you say, it's bad, and yeah, things should work at launch. But "should" is a kind of a pointless word. I mean, it doesn't really mean anything. Should. It's just you have to exist in reality, and we know that the majority of online games, regardless of who they're from, regardless of how much money's behind them, regardless of push, don't work correctly on launch night at varying degrees. But to be fair to Sea of Thieves, it was working fine the next night, and every other time I tried to put it on, it's been working. So I can't be too mad at it when you got, like you say, Rainbow Six was months, Battlefield 4 months, and I don't think, like horrendous problems with that game, fundamentally broken. So yeah, it should work, but it is what it is. I mean, I can't really add anything more to the discussion than that. When the next big online game comes out, whatever that happens to be in the next few months, when Red Dead launches, will anyone be surprised if the servers shit the bed day one? I mean, probably not.
No.
Just go, that's annoying. Let's just play, PUBG, and then we'll get on Red Dead when, that's what we're going to end up saying, isn't it? So, yeah, it's just, that's the way it is.
It is the way it is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. But then, there's two separate issues as well. I mean, you brought up No Man's Sky, but No Man's Sky, when they went silent, it wasn't really about server issues, was it? It was about all the other shit that people were complaining about. And
that's the thing with this video, isn't it? It's like they've addressed the server stuff, which is, like John said, it's kind of not really relevant anyway. It's the other issues are the things that people are more wound up about, I think. With that.
I'm sure we'll get to that. Okay, fine.
So the second part of that, though, is that it has hit number one, like in the UK, and this is like based on box copies alone as well. So that's excluding the Game Pass subscriptions. And I mean,
that is mad. Who's paying full price for this?
I don't know. I mean, I'm sure they don't regret spending £50 on the game at all.
Yeah,
it's.
I guess it's just people who just never knew about the Game Pass stuff.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's nuts.
But
we've all been playing all week for free due to the free. Well, I mean, you already had a subscription, right, John?
Yeah, I've got Game Pass, but yeah, same deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's nuts how I think that probably didn't help the server issues either. Like the amount of people that really found out, hold on, I can just play this full game for free for a couple of weeks. Well, I'll just do that. So, yeah, God knows how many people were actually trying to get on that night. Must have been quite big numbers.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, okay, fine. Number one in the charts.
Yeah. So anyway,
we'll
next story. We got so tournament mode is coming to Rocket League.
Yeah, not really what I thought it was, but mainly because I didn't follow the news of it. Because the idea of tournament mode in Rocket League has been floating about for a long time. And I thought, like an idiot, I jumped to the conclusion that it was going to be a little bit like online seasons on FIFA, or when they do the tournaments where you play a game with a mate and then it pushes you through to the semi-finals and the finals and like pushes you through that way. I thought it was going to be like that, but it's kind of not. It's all custom tournaments, so you can host a tournament and then you go teams of 2 or whatever, teams of 3. And then you set up teams and then you push through in tournament mode. I didn't fully understand it by watching the video. I don't know if once you're in and the tournament's running, you sit until the tournament ends, or you can go away and come back in a week's time to play your next match, or what. I don't quite know how it works, but I mean, anything new to Rocket League's exciting. So I'm sure we'll get some sort of TCGS thing going at some point.
Yeah, it's a kind of, like you said, it's like players create and manage their own tournaments, but the detail about how it works is not entirely clear. But then also there's going to be enhanced garage options and like other stuff. But apparently the big update for this, though, is for the Switch version. Because did you hear about the changes for this?
Yeah, I mean, it didn't really make sense because I thought it already ran at 720p on the Switch in handheld. Does it not?
No, because what it is they're doing now is there's going to be 2 display options that you can choose from. So you can choose performance mode, so that's like 900p docked, 720p in handheld, but both of those at 60 frames per second. Or you can choose quality mode, which is like 1080p docked, 720p in portable, but 30 frames per second, but with extra visual stuff. So it's like, whichever you fancy, really. I think.
Yeah, the extra visual stuff I don't really give a shit about. I just want it to look a little bit smoother.
Mm-hmm.
And by the sounds of it, I mean, I was always under the impression that it was 720p on the Switch in handheld anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, there's no way I'm knocking it down to 30 frames.
It's no, you can't play Rocket League at 30 frames.
No, not at all.
I can imagine it would feel awful.
Yeah.
So performance mode is for you then, because that's the it'll be 60 frames for that.
Yeah,
I just want to know how that's different to how I'm currently playing it. But then, whatever. If they improve the visuals, it's all good. I mean, I think they've done that once already, and it looks a lot better than it did at launch. In certain arenas, anyway. Some arenas it sort of drops a little bit, but I don't care. I'm used to how that game looks now, and I'm not bothered by it in the slightest.
And that's it. That's all the news.
Cool. All right. Well, rushing through it this week, and I suppose it's because we've got a lot to say about some new games that have come out over the past week or so. Where should we start? Should we start with Sea of Thieves?
Yeah.
It's
probably the biggest title, isn't it?
Number one, then.
It is number one. So we've all played it, have we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we all have, right?
I just my character. That was about it. And I started one mission.
That was brilliant. Matt was trying to convince everyone to change the region of their Xbox to get it a little bit early.
I'd just say it's an option.
Played it and said, oh yeah, you definitely didn't do that to violate your terms of service, did you, Matt?
Wasn't that also on the night we were recording a podcast anyway, so it didn't matter?
Yeah. And then he was out the next few nights, so he didn't get to play it. So, right, where do we start with this? I guess, getting the bits like, it does look incredible. The lighting is some of the best I've seen in the game, especially like the way it reacts with the water, blah, 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 blah. It's a strange one. It's a very strange one. It's a game that does so much right, but does even bigger things wrong.
Should we, Dave? Should we give it the breakdown? Because there's probably people listening who like PlayStation players or PC players or whatever. They don't really know what this is. They've not been following it at all. So,
yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, give it the quick breakdown. So it's an online pirate game where you're given a reasonably large ocean, and you get on a boat with up to 3 other co-op partners. So it's 1 to 4 players co-op. And you take on missions from a central hub, 1 of 3 types of missions, going to find treasure, going to go and kill a certain type of skeleton, or going to go and collect something and take it somewhere else. And then you fuck off onto the sea with your mates, either in a 4-man boat or a 2-manner. And you have to use the map that's on the boat, and everybody on the boat has a different job. You can switch jobs. One person will be driving, one person's doing the sails, one person's doing the map, one person's doing the cannons. If you crash, one person's got to go down and heal the boat and stuff like that. And so the idea being that there's always a bit like Overcooked. There's always a bit too much to do, and it can get a bit hectic. And the main structure of the game is go complete the mission, grab whatever it is, treasure, booty, whatever, bring it back to port, cash that in, use that cash to then buy cosmetic items. So I think just in case people didn't know what the overall loop of the game was, that's it. But that's it.
But okay, before we get to that, like the one thing that I like about this game, and I've said it about, it's always good if you come away with stories. And I love games like that, where you can sit down and say things that have happened in the game, and they're not something that's like, oh, the bit where you go across the bridge in Uncharted and it falls apart. Like, because everyone experiences that. With a game like this, you really do have these sort of unique stories to tell.
Yeah, but that's true. But then you get that with pretty much any like multiplayer game that isn't totally broken. Like you can, I disagree. You can make fun out of most games if you're playing with a good group of people.
Okay, right. Well, look, we'll get to the negativity later. Let's chill out for just five seconds. And we had some moments this week, John, where we were just cracking up. Like the time where we launched onto a boat and there was one person already on the boat. There was only 3 of us, so it match made us with one other person. And we spawned onto his boat as he was sailing off the edge of the map, standing on the end of his boat, just playing some music. And instead of like going, fuck, we're falling off the edge of the map, we all just joined him in playing music. And that whole thing of it, just like the boat just sinking and everyone just falling away and the sharks eating James was just fucking funny.
It was
just good. And then we had a moment where, so while you're doing this loop that John's mentioned, you can randomly come across other teams of pirates, right? So you'd be sailing along and you see another boat and you know it's a boat being sailed by other like human players. Well, it was me, you and Chet, was it?
Yeah, that's right.
Was it just the 3 of us?
Yes, it was. Yeah, it was just the 3 of us.
Right, so we were on a boat doing a mission or whatever, and in the distance we saw a 2-man boat, and we're thinking, okay, fine, there's a 2-man boat, it doesn't look like it's going for us, we're fine. So we carried along our way, and then we looked back again, and it was like a horror film, because the 2-man boat was still there. Like, even though we'd sailed, like, the length of the ocean, it was still there, like, about the same distance behind us. And we're going, what the fuck is going on here? Like, I didn't see it follow us. Okay, right. So we started moving, and then Chet kept his eye on the boat, and he said, yeah, no, he's following us. Like, he's just following us. Like, he's keeping this distance away. So we didn't think much about it, because we thought it's a 2-man boat. Don't worry about it. It's a small team. If it attacks us, we're pretty confident. And then all of a sudden, it was getting a bit closer, and it stopped. And we thought, okay, right, he's stopped again, fine, let's go about our business. And then Chet just screamed, he's on the boat! And what the guy had done is parked up and swam all the way to our boat, right? And he was trying to get our loot. So we killed him and then went along our merry way. The thing is, if you kill someone in that game, you go on to like, you sort of get banished from the game for like 30 seconds. And then you reappear on your boat. So like a minute later, he was back again and just following us. And it was genuinely like a horror film. Like, honestly, we'd see the boat stop and we'd go, right, he's definitely in the water somewhere. We need to do something. And then we were trying different tactics. At one point, you put me in a cannon and shot me over to it. I went to say it like flying over the ship and stuff. It was funny. Like, I thought that was just funny. But it kind of leads us on to what we're going to talk about now, which is stuff that we're really disappointed with the game, because all of that stuff is great. You know, maintaining your boat, coming across other pirates and stuff. It's all a lot of fun. It creates a lot of laughter. But ultimately, what happened at the end of this story is that he finally managed to kill us all. And then while we were waiting to respawn, he then took all of our chests and just lobbed them off the end of the boat. Right? So he was getting no gain out of it. We turned up and just wasted basically an hour's worth of play,
if not longer. Yeah,
yeah, and it was kind of like, okay, so what's the end result here? Do you know what I mean? Like, because people have been saying about, you know, how Destiny deals with, like, a lot of people were saying when it comes to upgrading stuff in Destiny, it's all about getting better weapons, right? And Rare were always saying, no, we want everyone to be on a level playing field. We want all the guns to be the same. We want all the unlocks to just be cosmetic. And I think in principle, that's not a bad idea, but in practice, it's terrible because you're not getting any real reward for the amount of time you're putting into it. Now, some people will come back and say, well, actually, the reward is the experience of going through and that little story you come away with. That's fine. But when you come away from it feeling that you've wasted time, that's not how I want to experience games. Like, I want to feel as if... So in Destiny, if I unlock an engram, I've got that engram. That's mine, and I can cash it in. In this, it's if you get a chest, that's great. Yep. But then you've got to go through the whole process of taking it back to an outpost and selling it. And then even when you do that, the amount of gold you get for it is so shit. Like, you barely get anything. Everything's so highly priced that it's kind of like, I'm going to have to put hours and hours and hours into this to start seeing any benefit.
It's a first-person game as well, so you can't see most of the stuff.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, that's one of the most bizarre choices about this, because the whole game is cosmetic only upgrades, isn't it? But you can't see them. Like when you, so there's really, it didn't feel like there's any point to them anyway, to doing that.
Admittedly, you can get more gold and then unlock more voyages, as they're called, missions, effectively. So that's there's structure to that, and there's like a flow to that. But the new voyages that you unlock are just the same. They're just the same process. It's go somewhere, find a thing, bring it back. There's no variety to it whatsoever. And the main problem with that is that you can probably even get away with that if what you were doing moment to moment in those missions that isn't just sailing and encountering other people wasn't so pathetic. And I do mean that. Like, the combat in this game for 2018 is pathetic. There's some basic...
I said it feels like GoldenEye without the guns.
Yeah.
Like where it's slappers only,
it's
which is fun for 2
unacceptable,
seconds.
yeah.
And then you're just like... It's a lot of running past what you're trying to kill as you're swiping your sword, and then having to turn around and losing where you are,
or using a gun
with
5 bullets that you can only hold 5 bullets at a time. So you either have to run back to your ship, and if there's no ammo box on the island that you're on, there normally is, to be fair. So you have to go and run to an ammo box on the island to continue your fight. Or if there isn't, swim all the way back to your ship to load up 5 more bullets that may or may not hit their target. A snake takes about 7 bullets to the head. I honestly think I was expecting the combat to be either not important or just kind of, perfectly functional. And it is functional, but it is quite frankly pathetic. You can't expect somebody in 2018 to play a game with that's like one of the central mechanics. And it's frustrating because the ship-to-ship combat with the cannons is really good, where you're having to line everything up and like judge exactly where like the arc and the parabola of the cannonball is going to go. And when you get a hit, it plays this little sort of sea shanty for a second. It's really satisfying. But again, like, okay, you sunk their ship. They're just going to get a new ship. You killed them on board. They're just going to respawn again. There's no stakes to anything. There's no, and I was worried about
the risk reward is off, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like when you see an enemy ship, if you've got no loot on your ship, then of course you're going to attack them. Like there's no if we die.
Exactly.
There's no
exactly
risk
that, and that's exactly what happened to us. And the risk is you risk 90 to 120 minutes of our time, whatever we spent on that session, to have a funny story, but ultimately a story that just ended with a guy who was more experienced in the game than us just fucking us over, and then that was it. And then it was like the end of the night, and I literally haven't turned the game on since then. I was like, well, that was a fucking complete waste of time. It was funny for a bit, but I mean, what we were supposed to do now, just get those voyages again and do them again and hope that someone doesn't chuck all our loot off our boat because the loot means nothing. I mean, we talk so much and people get so hit up about, loot grinding and the similarities to gambling and, of course, loot boxes. But I've said this before, like, human beings, they actually like that kind of stuff. And obviously, that can be manipulated in nasty ways, and we've seen that many times in gaming. But, there's a reason people were compelled to do that stuff. And when I was hearing Rhea talk, it was all very noble and very nice, and we're just, it's all going to be about the stories and experience and being together. And it's like, mate, human beings just don't work like that. They don't. And there's proof in all the games that are successful in this world don't work like that. It's just proof. And it's so frustrating because Sea of Thieves, the canvas of Sea of Thieves, the mechanics, the sea itself, like the humour that you can have, the fact that there's always too much to do on a boat is brilliant. All of the hard stuff, that's the hard stuff as far as I'm concerned. It's all brilliant. But you don't want to play it because the stuff that they should have got right and should have got right years ago with the focus testing that they've been doing. I don't know who the fuck they've been getting into focus tests, but it's a bunch of idiots as far as I'm concerned, because they probably paid a fortune for that. They didn't hire anybody who had the backbone to stand up to them and say, this is bollocks. Nobody's going to want to play this because you need to put more content in there. You need to make that content more, it needs to have something to it.
Yeah, there does need to be like stakes, like a reason for doing it. Because I played it with you guys, then I went back to it and like played it on my own for a bit and tried to join with other people, and I just got bored because I only played it for about 3 hours or so, but I just began to feel like I've already seen everything. The islands look beautiful, like they look amazing, but there's nothing there. Like there's really very little to do, and
no, they all look the same.
And it's it's just such a shame because there's been quite a sort of a backlash to this. There has been quite a lot of people that have got quite angry about it, and I can kind of see where they're coming from. When I came to this, I didn't have really any expectations for this because I hadn't really followed it, and I angry about it at all, but I can kind of see why people are, because Microsoft really pushed this, like, in a big way, like with the hype and everything. You got, like the whole idea of it being like a defining game for Xbox because it's like a first party thing and they haven't had anything for a while. Also, it's a rare game and people really want a rare game to be good. And there was all like people having tattoos done and all that stuff. And then you play it and it isn't that, is it really? It doesn't, and that's why the anger feels. I mean, for me with this stuff, it always feels like the ferocity of the feedback is related to the amount of promotion that something's been given. Like, because the amount of sort of praise they were giving this or sort of push for it, it kind of means that people are going to like buy it back, from that, because it isn't what they expected it was going to be.
Well, this is what frustrates me the most. We've had this in recent years. This isn't some brand new situation where it's like, oh my God, it's caught us off guard by how angry people are about this. We've had this exact same situation recently with No Man's Sky, and that's where the comparison does work, because that was equally pushed by the publisher. And all right, that was more of an indie game that was bought out by Sony and treated like a first party game. But the amount of publicity that I said to John in the week, what's really, if this was announced 2 or 3 months ago and it come out and you go, whoa, hold on, this is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well,
but we've seen it for 2 years now. They've showed it off for two or 3 years, and the expectation builds. It builds and builds and builds, and then when it comes out, and it's not that it's not what we thought it was, because it kind of is, but it's the disappointment that there's not more to it that really sort of gets to you.
I think if they'd have come out from the beginning and said, okay, we're releasing this, it's kind of like early access, and we've got a roadmap for where we want to go with it, but it's at a budget price or whatever, or it's included if you get Game Pass or something, people would be much happier about it. But I think it's the fact that they build this for like several years as being like a big first party title, 60 quid release, it's all like a big thing, and then it's come out and it's not, there's not much there. And I don't doubt that people are having fun with it. Like, I'm sure they are. But I just can't see how it has like a long-term future with that. Because one of the other things is people say, oh, there's going to be new content, more stuff will come out. But if people don't stick with this, is that still going to happen? Are they still going to push it?
It's possible. Yes, it's possible. It's definitely possible that they can turn it around.
Yeah,
I genuinely believe that.
I'd imagine that Microsoft probably will stick with this, because otherwise they're going to lose a lot of face, aren't they?
It's not just that. Like, you've got to remember that this is on the Game Pass thing, and they've got that option to sort of get to a point where they're happy with the game and sort of say, go back and try Sea of Thieves. You've got it on your Game Pass. Download it. Like, we've added all this shit.
But what will be really interesting about that is how many people are going to keep Game Pass after the trial ends, because I'm not going to. I'm not keeping it.
No, I'm not. But then there's going to be other big titles coming out.
Yeah, State of Decay is in June, isn't it? And Crackdown later in the year.
And then possibly
the question
Forza.
is, though, are Rare going to change their fundamental stance on this game and change its entire essence by making it something that people actually want to commit time to? Because there'll be an audience that's happy to bum around on the sea. There's people who want to just go and fucking sit outside and camp, or go and travel and do fuck all with their lives. But there's not that many people like that.
Camp and travel.
Do you know what I mean? Some people are just fucking wasters, and there'll be wasters who play with Sea of Thieves, don't achieve anything. But that's what this game is. It's just a bunch of not achieving anything. We sat there for 2 hours. Playing video games with your evening and achieving a great deal. Don't get me wrong. Like, it doesn't matter what you're playing. I'm not trying to say that we're changing the world here, but literally sitting there.
It's got to be like risk
2 hours of my life.
I
just got an image of a bunch of friends around a campfire, and one of them goes, "No, listen to this podcast. It's really good." And then they're all just like looking at each other. But one of them's crying now and just applying for a job on LinkedIn.
But you're right, John. All that stuff that's like, all the stuff that's like neat about it, like the nice stuff. Like the stuff with you could play music and the being sick and all that kind of stuff. That's all stuff that should, in my mind, should be afterthoughts. That shouldn't be the main thing that people are focusing on. No,
absolutely. But there'd be brilliant details on a game that could just quite easily follow the formula, of plenty of other games that are out there. Especially when you're charging 60 quid for it and it's full price. Sorry, Dave, to cut you off.
Yeah, no, I started talking when you started about it. I saw someone saying on Rollmuck that, you know those snakes that you come across on the island? You can start playing music to them and charm them. Great. And I thought, that's all well and good, but I'd rather have a mission. Like, I know it don't work like that, but it's like...
Well, no, I mean, yeah, totally. It's like, stop pissing about. Rare. Yeah, but for real, though, like, when's the last time you made a good game? Really, though?
Well, it's true. I mean,
it's wound me up because the reason is, I mean, like, it's kind of the amount that I've got wound up by this is almost inappropriate. Like, why am I getting so wound up about this game? It doesn't really matter. But at the same time, it all ties into a fucking mode of thinking that exists at the moment. It's driving me up the fucking wall, and this just feels like endemic of this fucking mode of thinking. This like,
how do you mean?
Oh, just this fucking weak-minded. Everybody has to hug each other because we're all so lovely the whole fucking time. That's not the way people fucking are. It's bollocks. Get out of your fucking parents' house and live in the real world. Stop playing Sea of fucking Thieves. Stop making games like this. You're fucking rare. You're rare. You're one of the greatest developers of all time. And this is the piss that you want to put out? Fuck off.
Yeah, but Rare are not the Rare that they were, are they?
No,
like,
but it's still that name. Those people should have some fucking honour.
Right, okay. But you're specifically talking about the whole, we don't want to do the loot box. We don't want to do the, you know... That's what you're referring to.
They're adamant about it not wanting to be a game about having that kind of, you know, progression and that kind of compulsion loops and that kind of, you know, wanting to have something to do. I can't even remember the words they use because it's also stupid to me now considering what they released. But, you know, they're adamant about games shouldn't have to be about that sort of stuff. And it's like, well, yeah, okay, but then what do? You're going to charge 60 quid for this piss? Your argument's shit.
I think I mean that I don't. That way of thinking is not the problem. It's what you're offering as a replacement for that. Like if you what they've essentially done,
but
is
that way
still
of thinking
followed the same.
This.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Well, you know, you're right, but games don't have to be about that. We've got games that aren't about that compulsion loop. There's games that offer right. Take.
Yeah, but
I know it sounds weird, but take Super Mario Odyssey, for example, right? There's nothing in the game that you can't do right at the start with any of the unlocks.
But Dave, you're misunderstanding me, man. The Mario Odyssey has a direct loop of something to do because there's an entire progression in the goal.
That's what I'm getting to. It's not about the idea of, hey, let's make all unlocks cosmetic, let's do that. It's what you're replacing it with. So they're not actually replacing it with anything.
Well,
all they're doing is the same old, hey, you earn stuff and then you unlock it. But the stuff you're unlocking is not good enough. Like it's not just there's nothing there desirable.
It's not just unlocking the stuff though. It's not just like having a gameplay loop of like you want to do this because you're going to get something at the end of it. It's also the process of what you're doing is just not fun.
Yeah. If there was nothing to get, like if there was literally nothing to get, not a cosmetic item in the game, but there was like, you know, a narrative or just something to hook you, some reason to want to play. There's no story, which is fine. There's just something, you know, games just used to be a bunch of levels, one after the other, and you want to try and get to the end of them. This is just nothing. It's just like piss about on the sea for no reason. Good luck.
With that, and it's all fight some skeletons that will look identical on every single island. And it's like, I mean, that's one of the worst things with this, is I know people said, oh, there's like a couple of different types of skeletons, but it's boring, isn't it? I mean, why they're not...
Well, that's it. I mean, when you think about the enemies in Destiny, they're not exactly varied, and they repeat a lot, but killing them is fun.
Yeah.
Like, it's really, really good fun. And this game hasn't got that to fall back on, you know what I mean? It's like I
said it at the beginning, that sword combat is pathetic. It's pathetic as far as concerned. You imagine that, like, I would expect a fucking £2 indie game buried on some store somewhere to have that was about, you know, a combat game would to have better combat than that. It would have better combat than that. It's fucking pathetic. It's not good enough, and you can't like I'm quite often on the developers and publishers side in these things, more so than I should be, perhaps. But in this case, I just think, the mindset of this game does my head in. And all they did for me was still 2 hours. It was just 2 hours. All the game did was still 2 hours from me, so I'm fine with that. I'm not even wound up about that. It's fine, whatever. But it's endemic of a whole way of thinking that exists at the moment that I just think it's fucking pathetic.
I just it kills me a little bit because the idea is superb.
Yep.
You know, the setting, the idea of you having to really work cooperatively to get these ships to where you need them, and all that stuff is fantastic, and it's the possibility of a really, really fun experience there that I feel has been missed. And I don't, you know, it's what worries me is that are we going to get the good stuff? Like, even if it's a different game, are we going to get the good stuff from Sea of Thieves and have an experience that's well worth trying? Or is that it now? Someone's attempted this. They've seen how angry people get. I don't know. It's made fucking money.
Well,
it's
I know, but it's made money. But it's like, are people going to stick with this? And I really feel like you get this thing of like, oh, you know, we're going to like, you know, we've got a roadmap for making this, you know, releasing content and stuff. But that won't matter if people don't stay like with the game. And
also, has it made money yet? It's number one this week in the UK. Fine, but like, how many years has this been in development?
Yeah, that's
Ray's a big studio. Like,
consider like how many people have played this using Game Pass as well, like for free, rather than actually ponying up cash. It's probably a quite.
But how many people are going to keep back Game Pass? I reckon they're still seeing uptake in Game Pass subscriptions.
Yeah, probably
quite a big one.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is the biggest driver for Game Pass thus far.
But that's worrying.
And
it's like, if this is the biggest thing for like Game Pass, it's like, I mean, I think also it's just a shame because this was supposed to be like, they really trailed this as being like a massive thing, you know, for like, because, you know, there's been this narrative for such a long time about Xbox having no like good first party and stuff, and this was supposed to be the thing, and it's not. I don't think. I
just can't believe they didn't learn the lesson from No Man's Sky. Like, they didn't get to the point where they, you know, it was coming up to launch, and I'm pretty sure there was a look, we have to get this game out now mentality to it. And they should have really bitten the bullet with it and said, this just ain't good enough in its current state. And you're right, maybe last year they should have announced, hey, we're releasing this, it's going to be an early access game.
Yeah, they should just handle the messaging better. It would have been fine. Because
let's face it, you know, PUBG on Xbox One has been broken for a long time, and it still runs like shit.
You're totally right. Literally, all it would, those two words, or preview program, whatever it's called on Xbox, put that above. And I know you can't necessarily do that with a 60 game, blah blah blah. There's all these reasons behind it, and literally, all the anger goes away, all the resentment goes away because you go.
You see it as a work in progress.
Yeah, man. You go. This is a sweet canvas. So, you know, even the stuff about it not working day one, literally all goes away. I understand that they couldn't do that, but you can't. Like, Microsoft is absolutely to blame as well here. Yeah, this is the first big game that they've had out on their platform in a long time. You can't count the Forzas because that's that kind of their own thing. That's the last time they had a proper big exclusive on their platform. Like Gears 4, come on, like a proper new IP forever.
Forza?
And like I said, they were just saying, it's, like I said, they really pushed this as well. Like all of their marketing and everything was on this, and you know, it's. I mean, imagine if you didn't know so much about this and you'd like spent £60. And then you like, you know, you install this, and it's like, you know, what are you going to feel, you know, from that? Because I'd be annoyed if I'd done that.
Well, I'll tell you one thing though that I find quite strange. I mean, you're right. Everything you said about this game, you're right, James. You were pretty crazy this week. I saw a side of you this week that I've never seen before.
Okay,
like a proper internet troll side of you.
Where? How's that?
Because the day after the game came out, we played it. Right, we played it on the second night. And we didn't have a bad time with it because I'll be honest with you, the first hour of playing that game is fantastic because you don't know the limitations, and actually sailing about with your mates is a lot of fun, right? But then you sent me text message after text message of negative articles about it, and I thought,
I sent you two. Because no, and you said I've just read that as well. So clearly you've been looking like up and see what other people have been thinking about it.
You sent me stuff from Rollmark.
No, I sent you. In fact, I'm looking at it right now. What I sent you one article.
I'd probably feel the same if I'd paid full price. And I was like, okay, all right, okay. At one point, you just texted me current 67 on Metacritic.
No, this is that was it. Okay, let's look through because I'm looking at the messages I sent you here, and I sent you about 4 messages. One was just from doubled. Forbes, which was like about. One was from Forbes saying about how it was like 10% of a finished game, and then you just said, "Yeah, I've just read that." So clearly you were interested in that. And then I sent you another thing that was just from Rollmark where somebody was talking about exactly what we've just been talking about.
How is that trolling? You skipped over the thing where you just text me, currently 67 on Metacritic.
What?
Like,
No,
that was
in relation
the
to what we just said. This is like, Matt, stop trying to just manufacture light stuff, because this is nonsense.
No, all I'm saying is that you've never done that about a game before. Like, you've never just sent me articles about, oh, look, it is crap, look at this article. Like,
because
it's
I was
weird.
because I wanted to see... No, because we played it, and we were talking about how we felt about it, so I was just saying, like, yeah, this is some of the, like, from what I've been reading about it. What's up with that?
I don't know. Like, I was really, really, really trying to like it. Really trying to like it. Well, like I do with most games that I play, right? Like, even with Yakuza, when I first started that, I really, really wanted to get into it. And it felt like a proper kick in the teeth. Because, I try and avoid that noise from the internet, and I try and avoid joining it, because it's not helpful. I can't add anything to what anyone else is saying when they go off on these negative rants and stuff. And also, I don't want it to put me in a certain state of mind while I'm playing it. Like, I like just playing the game and working out my own opinions in it.
Well, yeah,
and
that's what we've been doing.
It just killed me over the week the more that we played it. And I think it was that night that the three of us played, John. And now Chet didn't like it from day one, really. Yeah. So we were getting it from both angles. We were getting the same articles, text from James and Chet. Like, it's the same sort of shit. And it got to the point where it was like, no, he's right.
Yeah.
What he's saying about he's right. And I as much as I really want to love this, I can't overlook this stuff. And it's getting to the point where I just didn't want to load it up anymore. And that's just, it's so sad. Like, I find that so sad more than anything else, because, as I say, I want to love games.
Yeah, man.
Like, I want to, even the games that people are ripping into, there's part of me that goes, I really want to find something to love about this. And I just couldn't do it. I could. There are things that I like about it, but there's just so much overwhelming. What?
Do you know what?
Why
Dave,
are we doing this?
For years, and all of us, we're all of a similar age, we've been told for years, and not so much recently, but certainly in our past, that, games are a waste of time, blah, 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 especially as kids, and, they're meaningless, they're pointless. And we defended them, and, we've written things, we've talked about things, we've picked out the games that, gone home, whatever it is. And then something like Sea of Thieves comes along, and to me, it's just a game without any meaning whatsoever. It's just a meaningless waste of time, and that, to me, is so disappointing.
Anyway, what do you think of it, Matt?
I mean, it's a shame it's turned out this way, isn't it, really? I mean, so, but what I've heard a lot of people say on Twitter is that, yeah, but we want more, but I don't think more is what people want. I think people want different, because if it's more the same, people don't want that. Sure, they want more complex missions and whatnot.
I genuinely think they want meaning. Like, they want, whether it's, whatever that actually means, to want to use a different word, but, whether it's a structure, whether it's a loop, whatever it is, I think that's what people want, because you're right, more would be nothing. Like, there's
surely
more content, more, even like more enemies. No.
Here's what I want. I want to give a shit about my ship.
Yep.
I don't give a shit about my ship because it's disposable. If it goes down, that's it. I get a new one exactly the same. And I understand that there are unlockables later in the game, but right now that vision isn't even in sight. If I log on to Destiny, I've got my loadout. Oh, right. So I'm loading up my character. I don't feel like I'm loading up a character when I'm getting into Sea of Thieves. I feel like I'm in a shell with nothing. And I have to build up everything all over again. I want to feel some sort of progression system that carries over from what time I'm playing. Even the basic stuff of, I want to be able to join my mates. But I can't do that, because if they've already started, they've then got to disregard everything they're doing, drop it, and start from scratch again just to let me join them. I want to be able to feel like I'm owning a piece of that world rather than just borrowing it for a little bit.
See,
that's the ultimate feeling that I want to get from it. I want to feel like I am part of this game and not just watching it and then starting again next time I load up. Okay, yes, there are other problems with it. There's the mission structure. There's what you're actually doing to earn coins and stuff. I get that. But the ultimate hole in my playing experience is how it feels like a a demo of a Zelda game, or it feels like it feels like a Destiny demo, where you'll play it through, you'll unlock stuff, and then you turn it off and you turn it back on the next night, and it's all starting all over again. You've got to just start with a new character or whatever. That's what it feels like. And I think with a game that is based on loot and unlockables and this online experience, that is an extremely hollow feeling that you'll come away with, knowing that you're turning that Xbox off. Next time you turn it on, you'll have a new ship that looks exactly like the last one, but hasn't got all your inventory in it. It hasn't got a mark that you've even been on the sea before. It's just, and people will say to me who are into the game, later on you'll get a new coloured tankard. That's not enough. There's just not enough. It feels so hollow at the moment.
Yeah, I think what this game needed. This game needed either like incredible combat, and that would allow for weaknesses elsewhere, or a really compelling upgrade, or upgrade loop, or loot loop, whatever it is. But
as John said, if the combat wasn't like the combat stayed the same, that wouldn't necessarily be a massive problem. He's right; it's awful, right? But that wouldn't necessarily be a massive problem if 90% of the game wasn't combat based. Yeah. When you arrive on an island, it's all combat. It's all combat. It's all guns and swords and stuff. If that was a minor part of it, then fine. But it's not. It's a huge part of what you're doing in that game.
Yeah, combat reminds me of Minecraft. Like, you're just sort of walking backwards and forwards and swinging a sword. Like, fine,
exactly
in Minecraft, how much do you do in that? Like, either never or very, very, very rarely. But yeah, like you say, it is a huge part of the game in this game.
See, what I want from this is I just wanted to feel like there was a point in exploring, like in getting on a ship and then going to those islands, and that maybe there'd be something there worth, sort of just exploring for. Because there isn't. There's no point in doing any of that.
It's like when you see those skulls in the sky and you think, oh my god, that's exciting, what's that? Yeah. And it's just waves of enemies.
That's the thing, like when you play stuff like Zelda or, pretty much any like sort of adventure game, the fun of that is like what's on the horizon, like what can you see in the distance? Is it worth going there, to sort of try and find out, or whatever it is. In this, it's really not. There's no point at all unless you activate some quest, to dig up a chest that you can do on every single island. It's just,
and then digging up the chest is looking at a map and saying, "There's the X. Okay, dig it up. Yep, got it." And take it back to the ship. It's not like you're working out these like interesting puzzles that require coordination and chatting amongst your teammates. It's literally just get the map out. There's the X. Dig, done. And it's like, I don't know.
It is kind of unbelievable. They just thought this, that loot would be enough. That's fine. To just sort of do that over and over and over again.
I don't know if they do. I don't know if they do.
You reckon they rushed it to because it had to come out, or?
Yeah. But if they don't, then they're liars.
Yep.
Quite frankly, because they've been out in front of the cameras, in front of the press, saying that they believe in this sort of stuff. And if they didn't, then they could have quite easily kept quiet.
They must have been quite worried when all the 50 betas were happening, or alphas, because everyone kept saying, well, this is final, but I'm looking forward to all the different varied mission types in the main game. And it turns out, actually, looking back at it now, that what we played in the alphas and betas was the game, very much so. It's a shame there's only 3 mission types. I want to know,
who are these people that they've been bringing in, these insiders? Because, before any of the alphas or anything went live, they've been bringing people in to play this game for years. Groups of people, focus test people. Who are all these people? Who are all these people?
Just down and go get, and there's the mirrors.
Anyway, that's probably enough of that.
So right now you guys are just putting this on ice. You're not going to bother.
I'm not touching it for 6 months.
I don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very willing to go back to it at some point, but not for a long time, and not until I know that it's made a fair amount of changes. You know what I mean?
Speaking about Game Pass, so I had like a month free trial with my ex, and then when I got to sign up, it said if you leave auto renewal, and you actually get 2 months. I was thinking today, do you reckon they made it so State of Decay's release date was just outside that 2 month like trial period? Because I feel like there's no way they would have.
No, that seems like the most narcissistic thing I've ever heard.
I just think like, there's no way they would have like kept it in the trial period, knowing full well that a lot of people have just got a trial for Sea of Thieves and whatnot.
But a lot of people just got the 2-week trial, and that didn't offer you anything more than that.
Oh, really? I thought everyone who signed up for it said if you leave renewal on, it will give another 3 months. Really?
No, that's it. No.
All right,
no, well, that's what I did. I did it was a 2-week trial. It wasn't a month's trial. And yeah, it didn't offer me anything like that. So
other people I've read online said, yeah, everyone's basically got 6 weeks because of the 1 month renewal.
No, not for me. Not for me. Anyway, okay, there's been another game that come out this week that sort of slipped under the radar because everyone was talking about Sea of Thieves. A Way Out. Mm-hmm. Our boy Joseph Fares finally got his game out there and said, fuck you to the Oscars. John and I have been playing this. You guys not played it, no? You were talking about playing it in the group chat.
We've got a plan, for that. Do you want to reveal it, Matt?
Well, just this Thursday night, hopefully Thursday night, if this show comes out on time, James and I are going to start playing this together. We're going to stream it.
Cool. And you're aware you only need one copy, right?
Yeah.
What?
Cool. You only need one copy. You don't both need to buy it.
Oh, James.
One of you can download it. The other one downloads the trial because John owns it, and I've got the trial when we're playing the full game together. It's a brilliant way of doing it.
Great.
Yeah. What did you make of it, John? It was hard to...
James just broken a blind. What was that noise?
It was hard to judge. So we played for about 2 hours last night. And it was hard to judge how you were... Because a lot of the game, especially in the first 2 hours, is cutscenes.
Yeah, I know what you're going to say.
What do you mean?
Well, I know you're about to say it's hard to judge what the other person thought of it because a lot of it you're not talking because you're watching, right? So,
absolutely, you're sitting in silence. Yeah.
So I had a good time playing it. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, we had some fucking big laughs, which is always going to be a bit of help, including one which ended up on Twitter, which was fucking hilarious, like an absolutely hilarious moment. But even other bits, that when we were just playing sort of largely in silence, or some simple puzzles that we're doing, I was just enjoying it and engaged the whole time. I really like it. I don't think it's, let's say 2 hours in, we're hearing it's about 4, 5, maybe 6 hours long, and it gets better towards the latter half. So, we shall see. But in terms of just the basics, the scripting's a little wooden, the voice acting's not great. Joseph Fares' brother plays one of the characters. That guy's no actor, but I don't know. It kind of has a charm to it anyway that I was able to look past a lot of that stuff. Also, none of that stuff massively outstays its welcome. The cutscenes are short. The dialogue is quite quick. So none of that stuff bothered me. And then we were just left in this really kind of unique and unusual and sometimes very clever co-op experience that's really not like anything else that we played. What do you think?
I mean, it's not the game that I thought it was. I thought there'd be a lot more shooting in it.
Right.
I thought there'd be a lot more action in it.
You said that last night, and I still don't really understand why you thought that. Based on we both watched the same trailer, which you revealed afterwards that is all you'd seen and all I'd seen, and quite clearly from that trailer, I didn't think there'd be lots of shooting in the game. But
it's just the way my brain works. I think.
Yeah.
I'm sure I saw shooting in that trailer.
Is it because it looked a bit like an Uncharted game?
No, but it looked like Kane and Lynch, didn't it? When we first looked at it, but no, like I'm so bang up for playing more of this because we had just such a massive laugh.
Yeah.
There were so many moments where we're trying to do stuff like, especially the stealth bits where I got caught a few times.
Useless, mate. Useless.
All right,
unbelievable. It's the easiest stealth bit.
You got caught as well.
I did. Yeah.
The bit that really interests me, though, John, was when we had to make the decision about going over the bridge or under the bridge. Mm-hmm. And it was like one of those dialogue boxes that you see in, Mass Effect games or whatever. But you both had a choice. So it would have been interesting. Like, I don't know what happened.
Yeah, next time we should just disagree if there's another one of those. Yeah,
well, not flat out disagree, but we shouldn't talk about it. Because what we did, we turned around and went, we should probably go under the bridge, right? Yeah, let's go under the bridge. And then we both voted for under the bridge. And I think next time we shouldn't have that discussion and just vote with what we're thinking at the time.
Agreed.
I find it hilarious how it doesn't even try and reflect reality in certain situations. Like this is a world that is built for two people to get through. Like constantly, it's really funny. It's like you might as well have just walked up to a car and saying, "Oh, we found a car, but unfortunately, on one seat is the steering wheel, and in the other seat is the pedals. What are we going to do? You know, it's lucky there's two of us. You know, it's like that sort of stuff. But yeah, that sort of stuff I just found funny more than irritating. But there's I've got a couple of theories of where this is going to go, and I don't know whether to float them. I probably should, because we haven't got a clue.
All right, you can if you want.
I just got a feeling that there was an emphasis on everything you're doing, I can see, and everything I'm doing, you can see.
Right.
But what if that changes later on?
But then, well, I do. My wife does this all the time. She likes to. She's really good, actually, at guessing where things are going, and it's really annoying because I'm just like, well, you just play it and we'll just find out.
Yeah,
like,
I know, but I'm really bad. I'm really bad at doing this, so this is definitely not what's going to happen. But I've just got a feeling that I'm going to know something that you don't, or you're going to, or vice versa.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true.
And if that happens, I cannot fucking wait to see where it goes. Like, I really hope that's the case now.
Yeah, I'm definitely excited to play more. And you've got to give a shout out to was it Hazelight, his studio, Joseph Ferris' studio? Whatever. But the tech in this game is so clever. Like the split screen, the fact that no game has ever really played like this. Opposing view, split screen. You know, other splits coming in to tell cutscenes and stuff, blending. The two screens will blend into one. It's all seamless. It's all really, really nicely done. It's so nicely done that you kind of forget that it's even happening some of the time. The game has the potential to not work, I think, and it works beautifully. It's quite simple in the puzzles that we've played so far, and there's been nothing really mind-blowing about the actual moment-to-moment, but taking a step back and looking at sort of what they've achieved from what I'm sure is a very small studio, it's cool, man. I was rooting for this game when I first saw it. I know people like hate him now for that "fuck the Oscars" thing, but I thought he was just like saying this is better than the Oscars. That's all. I don't think he was actually angry at the Oscars when he was saying that. But anyway, no. I find that guy hilarious. So I was rooting for it, and seemingly it came second in the charts in the UK. It's seemingly doing well. It's done well in reviews. Some reviews are really raving about it as well. So yeah, pumped to see where it goes next, and yeah, just happy for him.
And it resolves that problem as well of, my favourite moments were where we were trying to work out what to do next, and some of it was during shit bits like where we're going, well, where's the door? We're in this room, but where's the door? And we're just wandering around namelessly. But it was funny that we were just experiencing this frustration together.
Yeah.
But there's also bits where it's like a genuine little puzzle bit, and you're going, yeah, what am I supposed to do? That was the other example. So there's a bit where you're down like in this sort of basement bit. One of you slid down into this pool of shit, and the other one's on this little gangway, and it's pitch black. But because it's a game, you can still kind of see bits or whatever.
Yeah.
And John's like, there's a valve over there. Why is it not letting me twist the valve? I need to twist the valve. What's going on? And I went, all right, let me go and get this. There's a flashlight over here. And he wouldn't let him twist the valve until I shone the flashlight on it. And he went, well, why isn't it just letting me do that? And I said, because it's a co-op game and it's just forcing me to shine a light on it so you can use it. I don't know, part of that. We were just cracking up during that whole bit. And,
I also like the fact that we get into those bits where we didn't know what to do or couldn't find a door. And it was like really cool to see that, Dave's as much of an idiot as I am in video games, and he just wonders about not knowing where the door is either, because that's like most of what I do in games. So it's nice to see I'm not alone.
Yeah, that's true. I'm pretty sure we all play like that.
Yeah.
We just don't admit it. You know what I mean? You should have seen me playing Lost Guardian. If that was Last Guardian, if that was a two-player co-op game, mate, I think you'd have thrown the screen at my half of the telly. Right, okay. Fine. So I would definitely recommend it. I'm really, really interested to see how Matt and James get along with it. Also, do we talk about the overall tone of it?
How do you mean?
Like, it is very Breakback Mountain, isn't it?
Oh,
Breakback Mountain.
Yeah. It's so gay, but in the best way. I was saying to John, I would not be surprised if the last scene of this is just the two characters kissing.
Like, genuinely. It's, yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I know where I want it to go.
Yeah, I know you do.
Right, okay, the other game on my list is Darts of Fury. You mentioned this last week. I think it was off of the podcast, though, Matt.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. Yeah, I think I might mention it before the pod, yeah.
You've been playing it as well,
yeah, it's good, yeah.
So Darts of Fury is an iOS game that it's like touch darts, if you remember that on the 3DS. Probably not, because I was the only one that ever played it. But yeah, it's a touch darts game where you flick the dart up towards a dartboard. It bills itself as like an online multiplayer, play against real people, and this, that, and the other. And it's full of like the standard because it is free to play, and it's full of like gems and coins and
rewind.
Hey, you're now. Like, yeah, it's like you've got stats to your darts that deplete every time you get promoted, which means you have to spend coins on new darts and all that sort of stuff. And you can only play 3 times in a row before you have to wait for it to build up again. It's got all of that free-to-play shit on it. I am fascinated with how this works. Genuinely, I'm absolutely fascinated with it. And when I'm playing it, I'm half playing the game and half trying to read what is going on the screen. And, I'm pretty convinced the vast majority of this game is fake. Like, and you know, it's something that we always have on the back of our minds when it comes to free to play games. Is it screwing you over? Blah blah blah. But so it puts you up against people. The weird thing is, there's never any lag. No one ever quits out. And if you bust, right? So in darts, if you are going for a double 20 and you get a 50. Then you bust and it wipes your score and you have to wait until it's your turn again. When you do that in this, you can pay 5 gems to rewind and take that shot again. Now, that's not that expensive in this game. Like, you can easily afford that. No one's ever done that to me. I've seen lots of people bust against me and no one's ever rewound.
Yeah, it's never happened to me either. I'm convinced everyone I'm playing against is a bot.
It feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm just... It's one of those games where I am like proper analysing what every single person is doing in that game. Did you know, Matt, when you're playing someone, you can touch their profile picture on the bottom right-hand corner and it will show you their average darts?
Yeah, I saw that sort of that help tip pop up, yeah.
Well,
I haven't actually done it.
It comes up and it says, "Oh, this guy, their average free darts is 40." And I did that just before we started recording, and it was like his average free darts is 39, and I thought he's shit. And then boom, 140, and I was like, "What?" and then boom again, another 140, and I was like, this guy's fucking amazing. This can't be right. It's just, it feels like there's little tells in there to say, actually, there's some dodgy shit going on in this game. There really is.
But away from that, I absolutely love the sort of neon styling. I love all the all the graphical tells for your score, for the darts.
It's incredibly stylish. Yeah,
it's really, really, really polished in that regard.
Yeah, I mean the sound effects and the fireworks that go off when you get a double, all that stuff. It is incredibly good to look at, and to be honest with you, as much as I doubt the claims that the game makes, I have played it non-stop this week, absolutely non-stop. Every time, I've even watched a few adverts so I can get one more play token, that sort of stuff. I love it. I think it's brilliant, and hopefully that sort of anger at the back of my head, well, it's all fake, it's all shit, it's trying to get me to spend money, hopefully that fades away and I just enjoy just playing darts on it. It's really weird.
How do you play against friends? I couldn't find like a friends tab or anything.
I don't think you can, which makes it weird.
I wanted to add you straight away, but just there wasn't the ability to, which is strange.
I want to do some tests. Like, I want to turn my router, I don't want to turn my router off, but I want to take the internet cable out of my router so the phone still thinks it's on Wi-Fi, but there's no internet running through. I want to see if that affects the game. Because if you're not on the internet, it will say you're not connected, please double check or whatever. But it could just be pulling data off of the server. I don't know, it's weird, man. It's weird. I'm pretty convinced it's fake. I want to know how it works. I'm dying to find out how it works. It's become a bit of an obsession of mine. It's weird. So yeah,
it's a really fun game. It's really, really quick. It looks really polished, and I've been playing more Fortnite on iOS, of course, than this, but this is still good for a quick 5 minutes.
Really? I tried PUBG. I told you that, right? Did I tell you that last week?
I downloaded that. I haven't actually played a game. I see
I played it once and deleted
one.
it. I just don't want to play a game like that. Although it is quite funny watching people, Sean included, go on, oh, I've tried PUBG on mobile, I've got a chicken dinner, I'm the best. You go, well, actually, your first game is against bots, apparently. Like, it's not even against real, people. And then just destroy their dream, destroy their day. So that was Darts of Fury on iOS and other things, I guess. James, have you got anything we haven't spoken about?
It was just Sea of Thieves, but also I'm getting even further into Yakuza 6 now. Oh, sorry, Yakuza 6.
How are you getting on with
it? I'm really properly enjoying it now, because it's what's happened to me now is it's sort of switching between cities, and there's quite a lot of comedy which works quite well. Because you go from being in this sort of less developed city with these people that you sort of team up with, then they have to come back to Tokyo, and you get that whole sort of fish out of water thing going on, and it's pretty funny. But then also last night I discovered something else, which did you see those messages I sent you?
I was about to just bring that up, because when we were talking about Yakuza, and I was saying, isn't it weird how people overlook the the gratuitous sex in it? You know, the whole Yakuza 0 is you can just walk into a bar and watch a video of a woman getting undressed or whatever. Yeah. And you were like, no, that was representative of the time more than anything else. Yeah. And then this one's come out and it's like they've replaced it with cam girls.
That's the thing. They've gone from phone chat to live chat. So there's cam girls. So basically, you go to an internet cafe, and I mean, obviously, it's disgusting. And
who's doing that in an internet cafe?
I don't know. Somebody must be. But so you go in there and you can chat online, and they make it into a mini game by you have to press the button combination really quickly, so it looks like he's typing. So you can be successful. I mean, as I said, obviously it's disgusting and appalling, but it fits with the sleazy vibe of the whole series.
Yeah, it's disgusting, appalling.
How much of the game?
Pictures of it.
Have you spent 20 hours in that alone?
Well, I did. Obviously, I had to try it out because I'm reviewing it, so I had to see how the game worked. But yeah, it does fit with the sleazy vibe. So but I'm about halfway through now, and I'm just looking forward to how it pans out. I'm properly enjoying it now, so that's good.
About halfway through.
Yeah.
So you put 25 hours into it?
No, nowhere near that. Probably about 10 or 11, 12. About that much.
Oh, right. I thought these games were 40, 50 hour games.
It depends, because it depends on how much sort of side stuff you do. And at the moment, I've been keeping mostly just to the main story. So I haven't
the cam girls.
Yeah, obviously,
apart from non-stop cam girls.
Yeah, I mean, 15 hours of that must be cam girls.
Not quite, but you have to research. You have to try it
13.
out.
Okay, all right. Matt, did you have any other games to talk about?
I'm still playing Fortnite on iOS. I still think the syncing between that and the console version is brilliant. I think I play maybe one game on a console, but I just love the fact that I can play in the daytime on my phone. If I have the odd, on the way to work and back, and then that stuff syncs up. I think that's fantastic. And
I saw firsthand the effect of that game at the weekend. We were in a pub about lunchtime on Saturday. And some of the mates of mine had their kids there, and they were all out in the beer garden playing Fortnite on their phones. It was nuts. I'd never it's so quick how that's happened. And there was this one guy in there that said, "Yeah, it's this new game, Fortnite. It come out a couple of weeks ago or whatever." And I was like, "No, this has been out for a long time. They've just put this game mode in it, and it's exploded." So yeah, everyone's talking about Fortnite now. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't mention it in the news, but basically there was a Fortnite stream that actually smashed the Twitch record. I was on YouTube Gaming. I think there's this Spanish. I think basically it's Spanish YouTuber had 100 other YouTubers, and did that massive collab on YouTube. And it had over 1 million watches on YouTube Gaming. It's crazy.
It's fucking mad. It's mad.
Absolutely bonkers. Yeah,
people are obsessed with it.
Yeah, it is insane. And I played Dark Souls and. Do you want
to explain for those of you that haven't followed Matt's stream from last night? Sunday night, as you're listening now. What happened? You promised to take down Ornstein and Smo last night, and you took them down.
Yes. And that's that. John? What? No. So I've been trying to beat Ornstein and Smo for
no time at all. It's been very little time, Matt. But go on.
Okay, well, basically like about 10 hours worth of attempts.
Yeah, no, it has been quite a long time.
Well, it's about 2 weeks he's been doing it for.
No, it's like 3 weeks.
Sundays was the fifth one, the fifth night of it. So yeah, about 10 hours of attempts. Sunday, sorry, I said, I put out like a positive tweet saying I'm going to do it tonight's the night. And then I was about an hour and a half or so into not doing it, and 60 plus people saying you're never going to do this. Well, there's a few people who said you can do it, but most people said that you're not going to get it done tonight or maybe the next 2 or 3 streams. And I thought, fuck, what am I going to do? I always promised, okay, I wasn't going to stream. I wasn't going to summon because I didn't really want to rob myself of the feeling of actually beating these guys. And it got to a point where I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, maybe I'll try summoning, because as much as I would be, I guess, willing to carry on smashing my head against the wall or put my hand on a hot radiator, as Chris Bam was saying and others were saying in the chat, some people are saying, look, just fucking summon, this is doing my nut in. Other people are saying, look, don't summon, just carry on, we'll keep watching you, it's fine. And I thought, well, maybe I won't ever be able to do this. And so I tried summoning. The first summon, actually, something went wrong, and it fucked up. So I think I might have summoned and tried to find Solaire and died on the way back. Anyway, I had 120 humanities left, basically just enough humanity to reverse hollow or whatever, and then summon. And I did that. And
summon means, for those of you that haven't played the game, he invited
someone else to do it for him.
Player control. Yes, yeah, that's what he did.
So in previous summons, which I've done for almost every boss apart from Capra Demon, and at first I felt bad, then I thought, fuck it, it's part of the game. In almost everyone, I summoned mostly computer control characters. On one, I think I actually also summoned a player control character. Last night, everyone said, look, Solaire, the computer one, is rubbish, get a human one. The person I summoned in was basically a Dark Souls god. He was doing like 800. He was basically doing like flips and then smashing enemies in one go. Like on the way from where I was at the bonfire to the boss, there's like 4 or 5 regular enemies. There's also this giant demon thing. He smashed that in like 2 goes. There's also these 2 huge guys downstairs in the big hall just next to the boss. He did both of those as well. And then I thought, okay, well, why is killing them guys? I mean, basically killed everyone in the path on the way to the boss. Then I also summoned Solaire, the computer control character, because why the hell not at that point? And then, yeah.
So you had 2 people helping you, like the computer and a player as well.
At that point, I thought I might as well just go.
James, you got 2 hits in. You got 2 hits in the whole time.
Oh, anyway, 3. Whatever. Regardless, I just stayed back, stayed alive. This guy smashed him. And if I felt like they sort of stepped back a bit, I did the last shot, and basically it was pathetic. And I basically fucked it so bad. I basically not even sure I want to go back to it. I obviously will go back because people are going to want me to play it. But it was just, I've just fucked it basically in front of about 60 plus people. Can I say, all jokes
aside, right, Matt? I felt absolutely awful for you when I watched that stream last night because...
well, you shouldn't. It's my own fault.
No, well, I've been there. I got to the point with those bosses and just went, Joe, well, I'm just going to summon. I got more than 3 hits in, but like I had to summon because there was no way I was going to do it on my own. I didn't want to spend the time and the effort trying to do it on my own, right? I didn't have people watching me, so I had the luxury of just doing that and not caring. But when I saw Ornstein and Smo die in your game and your face afterwards, it was horrific to see. You looked so sad. Like there was no joy there at all. No, great, now at least I can move on to the next area. It was just...
From the moment I summoned that guy, I was like, well, a lot of people said, basically I thought, oh, it's what's the point anymore? A lot of people saying, even if you summon, it's not that easy. I think they probably meant if I just summoned Solaire, but this guy was a god. He was doing like front flips, smashing enemies in one go, and he destroyed like both of those bosses in super quick time. It was ridiculous.
I must admit, though, as sad as I was for you, the jokes that were buzzing around on Twitter today were absolutely brilliant. I mean, I got the ball rolling with, how much ketchup does Matt Murray want on his chips? Some on. Who's Matt Murray's favourite football player of all time? Steve McMansaman. Some of the ones I was getting back, one of them, they didn't even bother turning it into a joke. They just sent me a tweet that said, this was from Monster Hammer World. He said, Matt Murray does all his shopping at the Co-op. What's Matt Murray's least favourite debit card? Solo. That's okay. It's still good. It's still pretty good. Who's Matt Murray's favourite author? Summon Rushdie. Honestly, I was at work seeing this stuff come off on my thing, and I was fucking belly laughing. I just thought, and you didn't even reply all day. I had to send you an email halfway through the day going, hey man, like being normal Dave, hey man, how are you doing today? It was like, just to make sure that you weren't. It was a bad day.
But yeah, it's just like public embarrassment in front of like 60 plus people. And it's just, I said I wasn't going to summon and I wanted to do it. And I know summoning is part of the game. And for the previous bosses, I was a bit annoyed, but I did it. And whatever it takes to get through the game, it's fine. But these ones, I know this is like people saying it's a difficulty spike, but it's also a really key, important part of the game. It's a halfway point. These are massively important and famous, like enemies, a big boss encounter. And I just haven't learned anything ever. I've just
don't worry about it.
Summon.
Honestly, don't worry about it.
What's the point? The rest of the game feels like it's tainted now.
Are you going to like summon for the other bosses, Matt? Like when it gets a bit difficult.
I've summoned for almost everyone previously, James. So I don't know. Probably I've summoned for everyone other than Capra.
Don't worry about it. There's still plenty of challenge. You'll still really enjoy it. It's not the end of the world.
Or Butterfly.
I loved it. I loved the game, and I summoned for them. It was just, it got to the point where I was like, I'm not doing this no more. I'm not doing it. Did you summon, John?
Yeah, same as Matt. I had Solaire in there. All the boys. Fuck it.
Yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, I mean, if I wasn't if I wasn't streaming this,
the thing is, what I didn't do, Matt, is I didn't give it the big bollocks beforehand, saying that I'd never do it.
Yeah, you shot yourself in the foot with that,
including giving the big bollocks to nice people.
I just wanted to do it that way.
No. You gave him the big bollocks to me. You were like, nah, I can do this. I'll do it. I'm Matt Murray. I don't give up on stuff. So you were giving all the big bollocks. So yeah, I don't have a huge amount of sympathy for you.
It's true. I remember when you first started trying that boss, Matt, and you went in there with a whole swagger of like, this is going to be, everyone's found this hard. This is going to be easy and everything.
Hardly.
You had the whole swagger going down, and
yeah. It's. I mean, I guess if I could do it again, I'd probably maybe like just leave the area entirely, do some other areas, get level up, and then go back. But even that felt like quitting. So I was either going to quit it, basically summon, which in my mind was quitting, or leave the area, which also felt like quitting. And I took the easy way out.
We do know what this means, though, don't we? That James is the best gamer on the podcast.
Yeah, Matt, how does that feel, Matt? Knowing that I'm the person who couldn't get through a door in heavy rain, but, I could do this.
I mean, you say that, right? Because I was thinking about this today, and I thought, yeah, fucking hell, James managed to do it, but I think it's more likely that he didn't do it solo than he did.
I did do it solo.
Right, well, here's the thing. Here's my logic here. You have no proof that you did it solo, have you?
I haven't, no, but I would swear on anything that I did, because I really did.
But we have got proof that you lied to me constantly during your playthrough.
I didn't lie to you constantly during the playthrough, but I definitely...
Well, you did, because you admitted to it.
Eh?
You admitted to lying.
But I didn't lie to you constantly, but on this, honestly, I...
So we do have proof that you lied to me constantly through the playthrough?
No, not constantly. I lied to you about that guide thing at that point, but I did do this solo, and I would swear on anything that I did.
Right, okay, but you would have sworn on anything that you did until I caught you out.
Well, no, I didn't.
About not checking a guide.
Well, I didn't, did I? Because when you asked me to do that, that's when I had to come clean.
Yeah, you came clean about the 2 or 3 times you checked a guide. Yeah. Like, I was only fronting you up about
Dave,
one.
you can say whatever you want, but I know I definitely did it. So
okay, that's fine. But what I'm saying is that if we were in court and we'd say, well, have you got proof that he lied about his playthrough? Yes, we have. Have we got proof that he's done Ornstein and Smo on his own? No, we haven't, actually. Right, okay, so
whatever you think, Dave, whatever you think.
The lie swingometer is swinging over to lie.
Whatever you think, I don't care, because I know I did it.
What is this?
Whatever.
Okay, I'm just saying, I'm just pointing that out. It may not be true, is what I'm saying, John. Don't take him for his word, because he's a known liar.
I know he's a known liar. But I'll go be honest. I reckon I can pick the truth from the lies. I was telling you, Dave, wasn't I, when Dark Calls was a thing, when that was going, the James is lying right now. Didn't I text you about that? And this is before I'd ever really spoken to James. I picked it, and I reckon running around with a bow and arrow, whatever the fuck you did to beat him, I reckon it's real, mate. I believe you.
Running around with a bow and arrow.
Isn't that how you beat him?
It was, yeah. From what I
Whatever,
remember.
he still did it. Yeah. And you did Celeste,
Did he?
so respect.
Did he? All right. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to do fucking Cuphead, though, and I'm going to get it done, so don't you worry about that. Then I'm reclaiming the title of the best. Actually, I'm the only one who's finished Bloodborne, so I'm the best.
Yeah, you are.
Thanks.
Okay, John, speaking of being the best,
Yeah.
it's not a real segue. What games have you got?
Fuck
Have you
it.
got
I mean,
anything
I've
else
still got
on
to do
this?
my section after I spent all my energy yelling about Sea of Thieves for 45 straight minutes. Right.
Sorry, mate.
No, I mean, it was Sea of Thieves a way out, and then I just wanted to give a shout out to the Transformers light gun game that me and Elliot finished in the Bournemouth arcade on Sunday.
Have you
The
got any of those?
Transformers light gun
Yeah,
game.
there's a Sega Transformers light gun game. It's one of those ones you sit in, like, you know that game Let's Go Jungle, where you both have like a minigun on two handles.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like that. It's the same sort of cabinet you sit in and move the things. It's really good. We play it every time we go down there. But something
Was it like new or something?
it doesn't feel that old. It looks like a decent Xbox 360 game. So it's probably still pretty fucking old, but it looks a lot better than most arcade games do that you find these days. And it's a really good Sega light gun game, and we normally play it every time we go down. The arcade down the Bournemouth is good because you can get these cards where you pay $5 and then you can play unlimited for an hour. So you get one each for the boys, and then they got Mario Kart there, so you do all that. And
that's the way to do it.
Yeah,
That
it's
sounds
really
so
good. It's really good. And so yeah, like I say, we normally play with Elliot, and we'll last a little bit because you can keep putting the credits on. But something happened where he just like his level, even during the play session, just got so much better because eventually you can't keep using the cards on the same machine anymore. So you have to, even though you've got unlimited play, you have to go and do something else. But we just smashed through this whole game. It took us about 25 minutes, and it's just really good. I just wanted to give it a shout out. If you do see that Transformers, it's like the graphics look like the Transformers movies. But if you do see that anywhere, and you got, I wouldn't necessarily pump money into it, but if you can do one of these cards or whatever, or you are in Bournemouth, definitely smash it up, because I've never finished an arcade game before. What made it good
over just a normal light gun game?
Well, you know how Sega light gun games are. I mean, they're always really good. Can you name a bad one? I don't think I can, but
No.
like just it's just really those things are really nice. They're big, rumbling, chunky guns, and it's just all action all the time. So it's just one like the best Sega light gun games is just absolutely relentless action, crazy shit happening on screen, fucking Decepticons all over the place. I'm not a big Transformers guy, but just really fun, and it just ramps up and up and up and up and up. And I've never finished an arcade game before. I mean, you don't really finish arcade games. That's never happened. 35 years old, and I sat there, there's the credits rolling in an arcade game, and I was like, fuck. I never thought that would be a thing that I saw, so it was just a cool moment. So I just wanted to give it a shout on the podcast. And yeah, and if you get a chance to play it, do. It's good.
That is funny about the the Mario Kart arcade machine. It's like you put your money in, and it's like you win a race.
Yeah.
And it just goes, okay, go.
Yeah,
That's the end.
It's a piss take.
One race.
Yeah, but it's good with the cards because then you can just do it again. But
yeah,
that is a piss take, that thing.
It's a piss take. I remember we're playing Sega Rally. It was like, okay, you did so well in this race, you get to try the next track or whatever. And then nowadays it's just like, you've had your one race, now fuck off.
Yeah.
Here's the credits. Yeah, okay, cool. Sounds good. Should we do emails?
Yeah, man. If you want to email us, it's thecomputergameshow@gmail.com. Right, let's get this thing going. We've got Sean Thomas up first. Hi, chaps. I grew up in the era when talking of arcades again, how about that, ruled the world, and the sight of Sega's latest racer coming to home consoles shifted millions of units. I adored mainstream games like Daytona, Sega Rally, Virtua Racing, Ridge Racer, Wipeout 2097, and F-Zero GX. Games with over-the-top steering where you felt like you were always about to lose control of your vehicle. Do you think those days are over, and the indies such as Racing Apex, Fast Racing Neo, and Redout represent the best way of reliving that era? Or do you think EA are testing the waters for a revival with the hugely successful Burnout remaster? Incidentally, the Switch seems made for this type of game. Well done on the latest listening figures, richly deserved. That's from Sean. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's definitely not, the arcade racer is definitely not where it was, and we've spoken about that plenty. And I hope that EA is testing the water for more Burnout, of course, because it's one of the all-time great series, but I don't think it's gone completely. Like you say, there are those games that you mentioned, the Redouts and the the F-Zero Nightwing or whatever the thing you made up was. But there's also like Onrush coming in June from the people that used to be Evolution, the people behind MotorStorm at Cody. So the Need for Speed.
There's also that 90s arcade racer. Was that what it's called?
Yeah, there's that
what
one.
happened to that?
Yeah.
The one that was a Kickstarter and then was coming out.
It came
on
out, I
Switch.
think.
Did it?
I think it came out. I could be wrong.
I think it's out on PC. Yeah, I've got a feeling it is.
I mean, there's obviously the glaring game when we talk about these sort of games is Trackmania. That's what we loved about it. It felt like those old Sega racers, and it felt absolutely incredible to play. But Matt, this is your bread and butter.
Yeah,
you love this stuff.
I'd absolutely love any. I mean, obviously, there's a recent Daytona, a new game in the arcades. I love that to come to a console. And they will definitely bring a Ridge Racer back. Obviously, it's too big a license for them not to bring back. But I would love any of those old school sort of Sega games like Max TT and Scud Race, any of that stuff. I'd absolutely love it. But
Max TT.
Max TT was a good.
That was the good shit.
Wasn't there? There was a new release of Wipeout not so long ago, wasn't there? Was that a collection for like PS4?
Wasn't it the PS Vita game that they just
it was like a remastered one with some Vita tracks and Vita stuff, and then some older tracks redone. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I've never been into
Wipeout, but I'd love any Sega style rally racer, or any of the Sega races would be amazing.
Yeah. Did you ever play the Sega Rally game on Xbox 360?
The one that's just called Sega Rally.
Well, didn't they have two? They brought out like a just completely new one.
Was,
but didn't they bring the original
Sega
out
2012 or something, which wasn't good.
No, it weren't good.
New.
It's a shame.
But if they a remastered Sega Rally, oh my god, I'll be there. I'll pay a ridiculous amount of money for that.
Sound like you?
Yeah.
Go on.
Right, next one. Dear Wonder Pets, I'd rather be caught wanking than listening to my favourite game soundtracks such as Mass Effect 1, Demon's Souls, Scott Pilgrim vs. World and Mirror's Edge. What is your favourite game soundtrack, and can you play it when there are norms in the room unquestioned? Much love, and that's from @MikeyDisco. My favourite game soundtrack, I don't know, I love a few scores like the Mass Effect and stuff like that. Nothing that I'd necessarily listen to. I listen to the Destiny 2 score quite a bit. I don't really give a shit if anybody hears me. But I'd say my favourite soundtrack's probably Jet Set Radio Future. Probably. Apart from the Tony Hawk's and stuff with licensed music, GTAs and things.
Is that the one with Birthday Cake in it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, no, I mean, I'd rather be caught listening to the music than wanking, definitely. But it's weird. I don't listen to a lot of stuff, but I have got a playlist in my car, and I can't find the track now to remove it because it's basically I put just a bunch of tracks on there for when James and I went up to Leeds once, and it's now become my sort of dump bin. If there's a song that I go, oh yeah, this is one that I always like to hear, so I just whack it in there, and there's about 150 tracks on there now. And at one point, I thought it'd be funny to put Linda Linda from Uendan on there. So that when I was driving back with James, all of a sudden that song would come on. But now I can't find it in the massive playlist to remove it, and I've had it on in the car sometimes, like with people from work or Joe's mum in it or whatever, and Linda Linda comes up, and trying to explain that to people is kind of like I get really embarrassed about that. It's just some weird Japanese rock song. But I don't know, James.
I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I listen to, like. Well, see, there's quite a lot of stuff. I mean, obviously the Shenmue soundtrack I've listened to many, many, many times because I often have that on when I'm working because I just like it. Persona's got a fantastic soundtrack. Like, I mean, John, you've heard some of that. It's not that, is it?
Yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff on there, and I mean. Also, I mean, I like some of the old stuff, like the Streets of Rage soundtracks. They're all amazing. They're still brilliant.
Oh, they just irritate me. Like, that's too old now for me.
No way.
You know what I mean? Like,
Streets of Rage soundtrack,
just...
especially Streets of Rage 2, is amazing. It's got a fantastic soundtrack. I mean, I've got a whole playlist on here which is just all stuff from the 16-bit era. Which there is like a bunch of stuff that is good. Like, there's a lot of really good stuff.
See,
in there.
16-bit era. I appreciate it. I appreciate that music. I appreciate y'all, but. I couldn't just sit and listen to it on headphones.
Wait, there's like
sometimes
I don't know. There's like Revenge of Shinobi. That's amazing. There's just
talking about at work though. I've definitely had the Hotline Miami theme tune, like the soundtrack from Hotline Miami playing a couple of times, and I don't know how dangerous that is because I think back to that ultra violence, and I'm sitting in an office just thinking I could just chuck a chair at that person now, like over there, and it would just feel right. It would just feel correct in my head.
Try it out, see what happens.
All right, see me with front page of Daily Mail on Wednesday. Matt?
Looking back at my Spotify playlist, I do remember listening to the Max Payne 3 one a lot.
Oh god, that's track Reigns or something it's called.
Oh yeah, that was by Health, wasn't it? That was fucking good.
Yeah, the whole album was by Health, actually. I remember
I've got to listen to that tonight, actually.
Halo 4, I had it on, but I'm not sure if that was like really guitar solo heavy or not. But I remember listening to that a couple of times, but I might listen to them like once or twice. I don't really listen to game soundtracks. Film soundtracks, I love listening to them all the time. The one I probably listened to quite a lot was I remember putting the Christmas Night CD on about 1 billion times when I was younger. So in terms of most played, almost certainly Christmas Nights.
Man, that was so good. That just getting that. What was it on a? No, you had to pre-order something, was it? How did you get it?
Well, it came on the front of a Sega Saturn magazine.
Well, it was Sega Saturn magazine, yeah. And you could also be...
obviously the game was amazing, but then just playing all the tracks on just putting the game CD in your CD player at the time. Oh, so good.
The karaoke tracks on that, though, were fucking awful.
I don't remember.
They were real sort of cheesy, or yeah. All right, okay, cool. Next.
All right, moving on. We've got, hi guys, over the weekend I watched the latest Tomb Raider film. It wasn't bad, not great, but also not bad. It's just another video game adaptation that fails to set the movie world alight. Are there any film adaptations or films based on games that you enjoy? What are your favourites? Mortal Kombat, all day.
No, I don't think I've ever seen a computer game. No, I've never got into that. There's not been one that sticks out in my head. What was so good about Mortal Kombat?
It's just a shit tournament martial arts film with all the characters from Mortal Kombat. It's just good.
So that's why, like, the Street Fighter movie is kind of amazing as well, because it's really bad, but it's really interesting, especially the story behind it as well, like how it all got made and how that was all a bit of a disaster as well. It's
Why? What was the disaster about it?
There's a lot of stuff. I mean, Jean-Claude Van Damme had a lot of problems while that was going on. There was also problems with financing. There was people there was this whole thing where the person that was supposed to be doing the stunts wasn't doing it, and they got somebody else to pretend to do it, and it's all just a disaster. Seriously, there's a couple of really good YouTube documentaries on there about it. It's really interesting and quite funny and sad.
He loves failed projects, does our James?
I do.
Loves it. Yeah. Matt?
I can't think of a good video game one, but I do remember watching. It's like something odd. Hang on. It's that film was basically rebranded as Live, Die, Repeat. Edge of Tomorrow, that's the one, the Tom Cruise. Yeah. And that basically is a video game movie. And it would make a good game, actually. But I can't think of any game-specific films that I've seen.
Oh, fuck, of course. I watched the film of GoldenEye the other day. It's surprisingly good.
It's all right, isn't it?
Yeah. Next.
All right. Sorry, I didn't realise you were making a bad joke then. Hello, chaps. I was interested to hear your review on Kirby Star Allies last week, ultimately boiling down to it being good for kids, but maybe not for us. Now, as we all know, children are basically just drunk adults, so is this game worth a purchase to complete in a couple of booze-filled sessions as 4-player couch co-op? No,
it'll be
it'll fucking break your eyes. It'll break your eyes.
Get Towerful instead.
As a follow-on question, do you think the Switch is living up to its promise of starting a couch multiplayer renaissance? What games do you recommend as the best in this category? To be honest, I think the Wii U pisses on it as a couch multiplayer machine. The Switch...
Really? Why?
Because you can use the Wii remotes. So at any point we had 4 controllers for the Wii U, and there's a bunch of games. The 4-player co-op was built into loads of games on the Wii U, from Mario to... They're both the Marios. And then, Mario Party. And we had loads of 4-player games for that machine.
See, because I found the opposite, because when, obviously they only really play couch stuff with my family, and whenever we went round there, you wouldn't take your Wii U round there. And I know what you're saying. I'm not discrediting you.
Going anywhere else?
No, I'm just telling you my situation. When I go around my parents, there's always 2 Switches there. Because my cousin's got one, and not my cousin, my nephew's got one, and Harry's got one, or whatever. So that's 4 pads straight away. And there's always a game of Mario Kart on the go, or they were playing snipper clips the other day, and I'm not always involved.
So your counter argument is the Switch is better because you can need 2 of them.
No, I'm not arguing with you.
Well,
what I'm saying is that I'm experiencing couch multiplayer gaming a hell of a lot more now that the Switch is here than I did the Wii U.
Yeah, but
I'm finding the opposite.
Isn't that just because you got that set up? Which suits you.
Well, yeah, but that's just my experience. That's what I'm saying. It's just my experience. I'm finding that there's a lot more couch multiplayer games going on around me than there has been for a long time. But yeah, it's mainly involving the kids rather than just my mates getting together and playing a game, I guess. Like when we all get together, we're never playing a game on the Switch, are we?
No. Mine is with family and kids as well on the Wii U.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so I think we're past that now. Like we're at the age where we can't just have our mates over to play all on the sofa.
No. All right.
It's sad.
This next question is from James McCall. Hi guys, I count myself quite lucky that my wife Paula getting a shout out, doesn't really mind me being into video games, and most times I play she settles down to read a book which she enjoys. It's just such a weird sentence. The one thing that she does get bored with is me talking about games, especially ones that are not out yet. She gets bored of that. My question is, what if anything about your hobby of playing and being into games do your wives/partners get annoyed about? Well, I've said this before, but my wife met me. Well, I was working on video games magazine. She worked on photography magazine, so she knew the fucking reality of the situation. So I don't think you have to ask her really, but I don't think too much. Maybe, nah, I don't. Well,
we're not allowed to ask her, are you? You put your foot down about that.
What's that?
A couple of weeks ago. We're sending her a questionnaire and asking her about that stuff. You just went, no, it's not happening, so we couldn't do it, and no one wanted to, force home the point. With Jo, she's the same. She's quite happy to read a book while I play games, which is pretty cool. But she's got zero interest in them, like zero interest. She's been forced to play Nintendo Switch a couple of times, but other than that, she can't stand games. For our relationship, it's the money. Like if I want to go out and get a console or whatever, it's this huge like. Why would you do that when we could spend that on going away for the weekend? Why would you spend it on going away for the weekend when I can have 4K gaming, Joel? Why? They're the arguments we have, mainly. How about you, James? What situation you in?
See, Jen's fine with it, but she's just sarcastic and just takes the piss all the time about it, really. I mean, like, after we finish recording this...
What's the most cutting thing she said to you?
Well, no, because like after we finish this, I'll go upstairs and then she'll just be like, oh, did you have fun, did you? Was it good? Like that, and she'll just say things like that, and I don't know, she's just, I don't know, she doesn't care at all about the whole thing and just thinks it's a big joke, which is fine. That's basically it.
Well, she'll be laughing when you're bringing in the PayPal money, mate, eh? And all that comes out.
She was genuinely surprised when things like that happens, because she just doesn't get it at all.
At least now you can keep it. She's like, oh, it's just my silly computer game money, so whatever.
Yeah, no, that's not how it works, though. Jo just goes, well, you're putting that in the bank account and I'm going to spend it on toys. It's not for Harry. Go on, Matt.
Yeah, I just don't bother. There's no point even because she's not interested. So
she tried PSVR though, right?
She tried that a bit, yeah, and she I think we mentioned this ages ago. But yeah, she liked to connect with playing like Dance Central and stuff, but that was back in there. What's that, James?
James having a great time.
Sorry, it's just like you just said. Go on, continue. Sorry.
I just got caught him right off guard.
Yeah.
Okay, should we do the next one? You laugh like a little girl.
Yeah, that was. Hi all, I was watching a compilation of YouTubers' reactions to the Nintendo Direct stream, specifically the big reveal of the Smash Bros logo at the end. It's really enjoyable to see them lose their shit at the prospect of this game being released. Admittedly, they were probably hamming it up a little for YouTube. And how this encapsulates the joy and excitement of a game many of them would have grown up with. My question is, what game announcement would get the biggest uncontrollable reaction out of you, especially if it was done in a similar way to the Smash Bros announcement, i.e. completely out of the blue and revealed just by showing the logo? I think the only game that may get that big a reaction out of me would be Half-Life 3. So, Dave?
It's a toss-up between a new F-Zero game and a new Left 4 Dead game.
Fair enough.
Yeah, although would Left 4 Dead... I love that. I loved it. I loved Left 4 Dead. And I know there's games that have come out that have been apparently similar, but it was the whole setting. It was the whole, you're in a movie. It's the zombie thing.
Yeah,
the whole
but would you
style.
lose your shit at it? Would you be jumping up and down and going, "Oh my god"?
I guess probably then F-Zero, because that's the one that I really, really want. I was never into Wipeout, but the F-Zero games for some reason just totally clicked with me. I love them. And to get a new one of those would be, it's got to be near the top of my list. I can't think of anything else though.
I mean, surely Half-Life 3. Half-Life 3 is my answer.
No, see, because Half-Life 3, I was never a massive... I loved Half-Life 1. Half-Life 2, kind of passed me by a bit. But yeah, no, Half-Life 3, I wouldn't lose my shit over.
Yeah, Half-Life 3 is the only one I would actually be like, oh my god, head in my hands, jump up and down. I mean, I love the new Sega Rally. I love any old sort of any of the big games I played when I was younger, maybe a sequel to any of those type of games. But Half-Life 3 would be the only one I'd be like, holy crap. That would be mind-blowing.
John, what's it for you?
Res 2 PlayStation VR. Make it happen.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good.
I mean, that's coming, isn't it? Yes.
I hope so.
Is it?
Well, it's got to be. I mean,
I'll jump up and down with my head in my hands.
AOX.
We'll see.
If that wasn't a test.
James?
I don't know. I mean, nothing... See, the trouble is, right...
Oh, God.
No,
Jesus.
No, listen, right.
We're having a nice little fantasy games. Oh, what games do you like? Oh, I don't know.
Well, no, because there's stuff that obviously I'd be pleased if there's new... I'd be pleased if there was a new Half-Life 3. Nothing is going to make me, jump off my seat and start, going, woo, and stuff like that because of it. I don't know.
Why?
Is that because you've been scarred for life by what they did to you with the F-Zero thing?
I think so, yeah. It's like,
He was like this before, John. He's always been like this.
It's I don't get the pure joy kind of aspect of it. I mean, it's nice.
Why?
What, of life?
Well, yeah. It's, I'm just not that bothered, it's fine.
But don't you just you love games?
Yeah.
You love gaming, right?
I mean, I was really happy that they announced Shenmue 3. That made me really happy. But
what are you laughing at, John?
Look at how James just sounded like fucking Buster Rhymes for a second there. Yeah!
The joy that I had the first time, when we knew a new Mario game was coming, a 3D Mario game, I was really excited. But then when we watched that E3 thing in Bognor, not Bognor, Skegness, when we watched the E3 demonstration, they explained what the cap did. I was beyond excited. I was so excited for that game. It was unbelievable. So yeah, I suppose it's happened quite recently. I was saying to someone at work though the other day, I've finally got another gamer at work, and it's brilliant. I can actually talk about computer games without boring people to death. The problem with the Switch at the moment, the only thing that worries me is that the three big hitters are out for it. You've got a Mario Kart game, you've got a Mario 3D, a Mario game, and you've got a Zelda game. It's nothing else that they can announce for that isn't those three.
Yeah, I mean, and then this year, A4 will be next year, but they've also announced a Metroid game. So
yeah, but I've never felt for that series as much as
no, but
as
in
those
terms
other
of
ones.
the big franchises, out on the console.
See, that's the thing. The announcement of new releases in a franchise doesn't really make me that excited, because I just think, definitely.
Why are you doing this hobby?
No, because
why are you doing this pastime?
Yeah, no, because no. Just listen. Can you just listen, right? Because what it is, right, is I know that this game is going to be good. Inevitably, they're going to announce a new Animal Crossing at some point. I'm going to be really pleased there's a new one coming out. I know it's going to be good, but it's not enough to make me just get
what happened?
Really excited about it.
What happened with Shenmue 3?
See, that made me... I was pretty excited by hearing about that.
Yeah, but there was caveats around that.
Because that came out of nowhere, that was actually going to happen. But the stuff where it's there's a new Smash Brothers coming, of course there's a new Smash Brothers coming. It's I don't get, the whole getting really, really excited about that. I mean, obviously it's really great that it is, but it's not a surprise that that's going to happen. Do you see what I'm saying?
I know, but there is that side of you that when it's a game series that you really love, you're yes, I get to, there's more of it, brilliant.
Yeah. Well, yeah, sure, but it's like, yeah, it's great. I'm really pleased that, there's some new stuff coming out.
The thing is more the way it's announced. The fact that it's like, oh, what's his game? And he saw the 4 in the reflection in the eyes. Like, oh my god,
see, because they fucked it a bit. They shouldn't have done that. And one more thing, they should have tagged it on to the end of the Splatoon 2 stuff. And then you'd have just thought, this is just more Splatoon stuff, and then it would have come out of nowhere. But they didn't. They stopped and went, and there's one more thing to announce. And then it started with Splatoon, and we were like, sorry, I'm just rambling now. Go on. Should we do the next one?
Right, that was it for emails. So now it is tweets time.
Jesus.
Yes. Right, Nathan, did you covet any weird hardware when you were younger? When I was a kid,
yes.
I wanted one of those Net Euros PlayStations. It's basically a black debug unit with a fancy USB cable at twice the price of a normal one. I had no idea what I had done with it, but it looked awesome.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. I definitely wanted one of those Net Eurosy things. I knew you could program games on it, and it was ridiculously expensive, and I desperately wanted one. Didn't get one.
There's loads of stuff.
Just cover everything.
Go on.
I mean, I wanted a 32X. I mean, I knew it was terrible, but I've always had this obsession with that console. I mean, sometimes on eBay, I look at them and I'm like, I could probably get one of those now, but I won't. But there's loads of failed hardware that I've always wanted, just because I'm just curious about it. Like I've said about the Jaguar 3DO, all that stuff, particularly from that generation, I find fascinating, because it's they launched this with all this big thing of this is going to be a major player, and then they fail really badly, and I just find it really interesting. I just like to have a look at the hardware.
Yeah, no, I'm the same with the 32X. That I was like, wow, this is going to be much better, isn't it? And I really wanted one as well. Glad I didn't get one. I also forever wanted an expansion pack for my N64.
Did you not have one?
No, I never got one. Never had one. But I always really, really wanted one. I just never ended up with one in my N64. Gutted.
I got one of those with, what's it called, with Donkey Kong 64.
Donkey Kong,
which
yeah.
is one of the worst purchases ever.
In that.
Yeah, it was that's when I had my first job, and it's I bought it and then regretted it, because that's not a very good game.
Another one I really wanted was, I want one of those Panasonic Q game cubes.
Yeah. Oh God, they had one in a local shop of mine. It just up on a shelf. I remember looking, it's just staring at it, going, "Holy fuck, that looks so good."
I wanted
just a DVD player.
When I was a kid, I didn't get any game system or anything until I was 8. So, I mean, my early years had been a little kid who was just coveting everything, Commodore 64, Spectrum, anything. So, those feelings were really strong. But ever since PS1, I've pretty much got everything. I don't mean, I just have ended up buying or getting hold of everything. So, nothing recently, but yeah, probably just stuff when I was a little kid, man. I always wanted an Atari Jaguar as well for some fucking reason, but I'm glad that didn't happen.
That console fascinates me, and
James is obsessed with the Jaguar.
It's one of those things where also I have that big regret, because I remember when Game was selling them off for £10 a go, and it's they had that and a couple of games, and I don't know why I didn't buy it. I really regret that, because I know it was terrible, but I'm just fascinated by it. There was that and the Lynx as well, because I've got one of those somewhere lying around, because I've got it in a car boot sale.
I wanted a Lynx.
Yeah.
I wanted the Lynx. That advert when all the kids were playing them in the toilet at the school. Why do I remember that? I don't remember anything. I don't remember what happened yesterday. Anyway, Sam Quirk says also, because he asked another question that we already talked about Sea of Thieves. Dave's a big fan of the game Threes, so I'm wondering if he has played the game Atomas. Similar concept with a few twists and just as addictive. Give it a try if you haven't already.
I have not. I might try it.
There you go.
Going to take a look. I mean, I've got Freeze and Darts of Fury in my life at the moment, so I don't know if I've got time for anything else. But yep, okay, all right.
Piston
noted.
Twister. Dave mentioned in a previous pod that there wouldn't be an official return to jingles and named segments like Farley's Game Club, apart from the obvious time and effort issues. Is there another reason for this stance? I always thought these quirky additions were great and did serve to break up the endless Nintendo gushing before going to emails. And then he puts brackets, suck my tits.
Okay. Yeah, there is, but it makes me sound absolutely crazy when I talk about this stuff. John knows. When I talk about radio stuff and how, do I do it?
Yeah, people want to know.
Okay.
And I've forgotten.
There's just, when I start thinking of a concept for a show or something that I want to do, there's a specific sound that I want to try and create, and it's partly to move to say, look, this isn't Joypod, this is different from Joypod. So there was one thing, but there's also a sound, a sort of, I don't know, it's hard to explain. There's a way that I wanted this show to sound, and adding jingles was not what I wanted to do with this. To be fair, the only time that I've actually achieved something that I wanted to, I had a specific sound in my head for Dark Calls, and I thought we smashed that completely. It's exactly how I wanted it to sound. Whereas this, it's been there sometimes, but then not. I don't know, it's hard to explain, but I kind of just wanted to move away from catchy jingles. And not only that, because the Adam Buxton podcast has exploded since doing it. It sounds like we're just ripping them off. And I don't want to do that. I'm going to do it.
All right,
sorry.
Luke Summerhays says, following up from the actually pretty interesting dad chat last week, what were your own parents like about games when you were kids, and how well do you think it worked? My mum and dad tried to limit my playtime, but I think it just made me more of a Nintendo-obsessed dork. Yeah, same as that. I was only allowed to play it half an hour a day, and it just made me nuts.
Half an hour a day?
Yeah, it just made me nuts about games. When I was older, this was more when I was 9, 10.
Yeah.
But yeah, when I was a teenager, it was different. But my brother didn't have those restrictions because, second kid comes along and they just stop giving a shit. I know that feeling. But, it didn't have anything until I was 8, and then obviously wasn't allowed to use them that much. So I think that just drove me insane and made me an obsessive.
Yeah. Matt?
It's so long ago, I don't remember my parents sort of restricting myself to specific hours or whatnot. I mean,
but they're not concerned about it. Would they ever talk to you about it?
No. I mean, I didn't. I played out, football and cricket and all sorts of stuff in the evening. So it wasn't like I was on it for hours and hours and hours. But I did, play a lot of games on weekends around mates' houses. But it wasn't something my parents really were bothered about. I was interested in those things.
Did they put restrictions on age-rated games?
No. I mean, back in it feels so long ago that I wasn't really playing 18+ games anyway.
Yeah,
I didn't want to play that stuff. I wanted to play New Zealand story
back
and
in
shit.
it was when I was at home. It was I had the Saturn was probably the last console I had when I was actually at home last. So wasn't really an issue. Maybe PlayStation 2, but yeah, it wasn't an issue.
James?
Yeah, I didn't. I mean, my parents didn't. They weren't keen on the whole thing, and they wouldn't buy me anything. I mean, the first console I got, I told you I won it in a competition, and that was how I got it into the house. And
what was it again? What was the competition?
It was Rice Krispies, and it was just one of those eat tons of Rice Krispies and finish a tiebreaker, which I've forgotten. And yeah,
sorry, what? Eat tons of Rice Krispies.
Those you have to collect the tokens, and then once you collect all the tokens, you got to say I like eating Rice Krispies because whatever. And
what did you put?
I don't remember, Dave. I was 6 or 7 at that time.
I'd love to know what you put.
Yeah. I was about
eating Rice Krispies because
I was about 7 or 8, I think, when I got that, and that's when I got the Master System. And yeah, that was.
Hey, Brian, we've got one entry here. I like eating Rice Krispies because in China in 1342 there was.
Yeah, I like eating Rice Krispies because I don't not into games. I just what's the point? What's the fucking point? Here's the Master System. Congrats.
See, for my parents, it was never they just weren't that. They just didn't care at all. They weren't really interested in the whole thing. They were never really bothered about what I was playing on them. I mean, because when I was growing up, there wasn't anything anyway. Mortal Kombat was the first thing that was supposedly dangerous and everything, and so
you were already about 23 when that came out as well, weren't you? So they wouldn't have cared about you playing that.
Yeah, they weren't that bothered, so it's fine. But they just totally disinterested and just thought it was a waste of time, and that was it really.
I didn't really appreciate it up until recently, but my dad was into gaming, not in a big way, but if he wouldn't be able to just sit and watch someone playing a game, he'd have to pick up a pad and try it out. And so he introduced gaming into the house, and yeah, there was no restrictions. I could just sit and play games all day, and they wouldn't care. And it's same with 18 rated games or whatever, because I'm a bit of a prick or whatever. So anything that shut me up was fine by them. So yeah, I just used to play games all the time. The only time, and I've told this story before, that it just went completely against that was when I got the flu and my mum assumed it was from playing computer games, so she took my N64 away for a month. But still not over that. But there's no logic there whatsoever. But yeah, that was the only time where they stepped in. The rest of the time it was just gaming non-stop, innit? Usually with my old man. Usually with him.
All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lee Hennigan, we talked about this already, but we might as well get to it. I'd like to know who has the correct pronunciation of Yakuza or Yakuza. Dave has been giving it the Yakuza for months, despite Jon bringing the more authentic Yakuza to the table. Does the main one need to step outside the Anglosphere? From what I understand, the U in the middle of Japanese words isn't pronounced, but at the same time, I don't exactly sound Japanese when I say Yakuza, so I'm sure it doesn't really matter. But from what I understand, that's kind of how you're supposed to say it.
Yeah, I know that you're supposed to say Yakuza, but I say Yakuza. I don't know why, but fine. Okay, cool.
All right, and then finally, Tom Doughty, where is the worst place in the UK you've ever been to? I've been thinking about this, and I can't think. There's probably somewhere near me. How about everyone else?
Good question.
I don't know. I grew up in Dartford, which is a dump, and Gravesend.
Yeah, I grew up in Bognor Regis town, so Jesus.
Yeah, but yeah, I've only been to Butlins in Bognor, and that was all right.
Try growing up there.
Croydon, probably. I've never felt comfortable in Croydon.
Gravesend is rubbish. I spent a lot of time there. Not very good.
I think it was because I went to college in Croydon, or just it was in Cellar, so I had to go through Croydon, and the amount of times I got mugged on that bus was just ridiculous. It just got the norm. You're sitting on the bus, oh God, someone's staring at me, and there goes my phone. Like, it was just constant. It was horrible. And that fucking West Croydon bus station, I swear to God, I just standing in there just praying for the bus to turn up, because I knew I'd just get punched in the face in no time. I hated it. And ever since Joe goes, oh, let's go to Croydon shopping. Nope, not doing it. Not going anywhere near that place, yeah. Sorry if you live in Croydon, but goddamn. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to Croydon a couple of times, and don't necessarily want to go back. In terms of like existentially awful places, there's plenty of places on the south coast. I mean, I've not been to Bognor, Matt, but I'd imagine it's similar to like the Farehams and Havants and places like that are all pretty.
Probably was.
Yeah, they're just kind of like empty, soulless places.
Sorry if you live in these places, but we got asked.
I don't care. I was just asking. Yeah,
I'm sure they hate them too.
Deal with it.
Don't you always feel that though? Like it's one of those things where I live in Sutton, so I can slag off Sutton, but if someone outside Sutton slags it off, I'm like, you motherfucker.
Yeah, but I don't care if they think that.
Yeah, well,
I'm just answering truthfully. I mean, plenty of places, man. Leicester, fucking hell. Loads of places.
Okay, now Coventry. I've been at Coventry.
I live next to Boscombe, which is is an absolute fucking drug hellish shithole.
Okay,
we've got one more question. It wasn't on Twitter or email, but we have actually like a channel in our Discord with podcast questions, and someone's actually asked a question.
Why are you doing this?
And we're actually going to ask it. It's Rob Fev. A question for tonight's podcast. Now that JD and Simon Miller are killing it with their new Rock Reacts YouTube channel, go over to YouTube and subscribe to that. What non-gaming thing would the other three members choose each to make a React channel about, and from who from the wider video games media or industry would they host it with? Dave and Major Nelson reacting to YouTube police chase videos, for example.
That would be
maybe
brilliant.
not. Maybe Matt Farley reacting to tech. Oh no, we all know how that turned out. Love the show. See you at Rest. That was from Rob.
I've always wanted to just get like an American, an American who's into American football or baseball or whatever and goes regularly, and then just take them a Millwall and film them and see what the fuck they think is going on. Have you seen those videos where they show American soccer fans and then like show it compared to British football fans? It's just so funny. Like, you've all gone quiet over there. You've all gone quiet over there. And it's like, and then it just shows like the rabble of just like middle-aged men screaming the C word over and over. Like, it's just like the contrast is hilarious. But yeah, no, that's probably what I'd do if I had the money and time and knew an American. Matt?
I mean, I would love to do sort of, it's obviously the nerdiest shit ever, but it's a nerd podcast, or whatever. Watching old like tech conferences, like from like really early, really like from 80s, 90s, just seeing like
I love
phones,
stuff like that.
phones getting announced. I mean, obviously, like classically, like the original iPhone announcement was amazing, and it's still amazing today to watch that. But doing like reacts videos with like commentary over those sort of, you know, like. Obviously, it's going to be tough to get hold of those videos, but whenever the earliest video we can get hold of the first like Nokia phones being announced, or you know, really old phones, really old tech, will be hilarious.
Well, they didn't really do it, did it? Like, I mean, do you ever see the conference for the first ever PlayStation at E3? And it looked like it was in someone's back room.
Yeah,
that was when the guy come out and sort of just said the price and walked off stage again. It's on YouTube, but it's like, yeah, it looks like compared to what it is now, it's just like a total joke. But yeah, no, I went through down the rabbit hole with that on YouTube the other night, just watching old television commercials for old televisions and stuff, and it was like, this has got a wireless remote. Look, you could change the channel without getting up. Like, it's crazy.
I mean, this isn't really like a React video thing, but when I was younger, I used to be obsessed with the Argos catalogue. That was basically, well, my parents called it my Bible, essentially. We had like an Argos catalogue and index back in those days, but I always had my own
That
version.
is the most Matt Murray thing I've ever heard. You are Mr. Consumer, and they're so right. That's your Bible.
But, and basically that was like, I guess the internet back in my head back in those days, because it's like, okay, now I want this thing, go to that page, cut it out, circle it, whatever, and then like 2 weeks time there's no hype chart. Or now I want this thing. Let's look at all the things in the Argos catalogue relating to that thing. Obviously, you know.
Did you used to write comments underneath the pictures?
No.
Just
there wasn't enough, if there was space for that, definitely, but no.
Fuck this is going to be shit.
But that was basically my Bible. So, and also, but I also had, and probably still got actually in my parents' house, probably somewhere, like, as well as a billion like old Sega magazines and old like CVGs and stuff. I definitely I had this like a binder or this folder or something, or a box of old sort of like pamphlets, you know, basically, you know, like little like brochures, I guess, from places like Rumbelows or like places that sold old games. You know, where,
like Special Reserve stuff.
Yeah, I can't even think of an example. Basically, like places that sold games, like even like. If I could go back and look at those old pamphlets or adverts, like and it would have like adverts for a Mega Drive and 5 games, it'd be like 150 quid. I'd love to go back and look at those old ones. I remember that from when I was young. And sorry, I've just
that's the most depressing thing I've ever heard.
No, even now you hear about, or you see people like who've like scanned in old like Argos catalogues and old like adverts and stuff for games.
The Old Testament.
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to like go back and look at that shit.
James, you?
I'd be the worst person to do a React channel because I just probably wouldn't react.
You would. It'd just be like sniffing.
It's all right.
Just like. Matt, were you ever into Filofax? I bet you were all over that. Well, no, Fun Facts or whatever they were called.
What?
The fun facts, the little fun facts things that you could get from W.H. Smith's. They were like,
I don't know what that is.
Like,
yeah, I remember those. They were brilliant.
Yeah. They had themed ones. There was like a normal one which was white with like blue squares on it, but they had like theme ones, and I had the spy one, and I'll never forget this.
It was like a kids'
Filofax things.
You know, it was like a kids' one with like games in it and stuff and
activities and stuff.
Yeah, I had that shit.
And it completely destroyed it. I think I've told the story before, I can't remember, but I had the spy one, and it had all sorts of things in it. And I remember coming home from school once and hearing my brother up in my bedroom with all his mates just pissing themselves laughing. I opened the door and they were going through my spy Filofax.
Oh my god, I've just Googled it. I do remember those things. I don't think I have one, but that definitely rings a bell. And I remember the spy one, I didn't, oh my god. I think I might. So
anyway,
they
were all. I was destroying my anecdote, but they were all laughing at my Filofax, and they were all laughing at my spy name that I put down because for some reason my spy name, I chose the name Fred Frezzer.
That's the episode title.
Yeah,
it is
Fred Frezzer.
And that's the episode.
Why wasn't
Matt,
that not your gamer tag, David? You should have chosen
because everyone laughed at me. Did you not hear the story? I never wanted to know Fred Frezzer again. I never wanted to hear
ownership of it. You know, it's like, it's cool.
No, I couldn't do that. I was too young and upset.
On this podcast, have we? I mean, this is probably not time to talk about it, but have we on this show? Have we like mentioned our first sort of gamer gamer tags or gaming handles. I know we talked about another show.
We have talked about it.
Okay, forget about it.
Yeah, yours. Although we don't know John's, because yours was 16-bit pixel.
That was one of them. Yeah.
What was the other one then?
I mean, I had lots, but yeah, John.
Right, on Xbox, the first gamer tag.
Well, or just like your first sort of like
your
email
first
address
online
or
name,
username.
like, so it's probably on Yahoo Chat or
your
whatever.
first online handle.
Daniel San 22 from Karate Kid.
Yeah, we loves Karate Kid, doesn't he, the fella? Loves it. Loves it.
First gamer tag was Harry McLegend, which I changed to Guacamole Kid
when
its
Harry
360 came out.
Amazing.
I know. I kind of wish I'd never changed it, but now it's Guacamole Kid. I hate having Kid in my name. I'm fucking old. But
what was yours, James?
I was a long time ago. It was Jimmer.
What? Jimmer.
Yeah, it was very original and like
Jimmer.
So, yeah.
Why Jimmer?
I don't know. There was also
that's
Farlow
what you're
Rocket.
called from now on.
There was also Farlow Rocket, but that came later. That was another one.
Farlow Rocket.
Yeah.
Jim and McFarlane Rocket.
We all know mine was Sacred Dude and then Cockney Dave. So
Sacred Dude. I love the fact that sometimes it's great that I forget stuff because every single time you say that, it's like hearing it for the first time.
It is bad, isn't it? Sacred
Dude.
Matt, what do you want people to do on social media this week, my friend?
I've just been Googling. Basically, I want people to send me their old Toys R Us catalogues from the 90s.
I've just been Googling.
I'm looking at basically old Toys R Us gaming catalogues from the 90s. That's what I want to do a YouTube channel, because some of these are fucking amazing.
Go into your loft and send them to Matt.
Oh, please. I should probably go home, because I've probably got loads of these. Like from Tandy, Rumbelows, like old like Debenham shit. Oh, man.
Rumbelows.
I've got a half bar here. It's brilliant. Okay. We're on Apple Podcasts. It'd be great if you leave us a review. Any review helps, but 5-star review obviously is great. We're also now on Spotify. I mean, I'm probably never listen to a podcast on Spotify, but it's pretty cool, I think, that we're on there. So, search us on Spotify if that's the streaming service you're using. We've got Discord. Go to bit.ly/TGCS Discord if you want to, chat with like-minded people from your area. And I think that's it. We're on Instagram, on Facebook, on basically every channel.
We've got a live show coming up, haven't we, Matt? Got a live show coming up.
Yeah, I'll just get into that. We've got a live show coming up. Yeah, go to egx.net/res to get your tickets. We're performing live on Sunday the 15th of April at 4:30. Please buy tickets. Please come and see us. We've got a room to fill, and I'm very worried that it's going to be quite empty, except for the people shouting and booing my name. So, yeah. Also, if you're going, please let us know. It'd be great to get an idea of numbers.
Who the fuck sells a show? What sort of promoter sells a show by saying, I'm very worried it's going to be quite empty? That makes no one ever want to come. That is ridiculous.
And I like the fact that he assumes it's all about him as well, except for the ones booing my name. I'm the main attraction here, obviously.
I'm just basing it on feedback. So yeah, if you're going, let us know. But it will also know who's, if you're coming, and all that jazz.
Bring a friend. There's plenty of seats available, apparently. We'll catch you next week. Hope you have a lovely week. Thanks for living it, and we'll see you next week to talk about more computer games. Goodbye.
Goodbye.